Okay, Shalom Israel. Hope everybody's having a Tawaf Shabbat. Shout out or Shalom to the brothers out there. isbhpk Houston, Virginia, Rochester, New York. Hope everybody's getting to work in peace in their grind and in their battle. And Shalom everybody out in San Antonio. Shalom Cabo Guatemala. With this congregation, see, this is the blessing of the Lord right here. This is the blessing of the Most High. I take that.
That's better than Gatorade.
Yes, it is. Oh, all day long.
Yeah.
Look, this is. Yes. Anyway, throughout everybody for tuning in. Throughout for your participation online, much appreciated. Everybody get started in a second. Just want to make sure everybody's good to go.
What's up, guys? Been good?
Good. So okay, so let's just kind of get that started.
Cover.
Just kind of get it. No, the back of it. Remember?
Yeah.
Or like Adam said, just grab it. Yeah, yeah. You might have those grizzled fingers, man. I can handle that fire.
I burn the back and then I burn the sides and the front.
Or I've seen guys grab it and just like
I don't know why they do
just
that,
deal with the ferocity of the fire and charcoal inside. Like I said, there are tough, powerful men in the nation of Israel who can handle the cauldron fire. Okay.
Pyro guys. He's a little pyro guy.
There's many warriors in Israel. Many warriors of different.
And that's it. That's
Like
what it's on.
That's it. All right.
It was that easy, man. Bye. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai.
Barakatah B'Hashem Yahshai.
Hahawa'ah. Nathan Lanawa. Awar. Zayuwan. Thawada. Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us light this day. Thanks, so be it.
Okay. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai.
Barakatah B'Hashem Yahshai.
Hahawa'ah. Nathan Lanawa. Rayach. Nayachacha. Thawada. Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us sweet savor. Thank you, so be it.
Majum Wapunya Yerushalayim.
Stand up, face Jerusalem.
I don't know how you change
I
those
was gonna say that was
without those what do you call those things on top of the flute?
the notes.
Without the notes, how do you do it, man? It's just all flute power.
Yeah,
it's all lung power, and the controlling of your mouth, right?
That was good though.
You try. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai. Hahawa'ah. Nathan Lanawa. Hashabbat. Bashalom. Thawada. Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it.
Okay. Psalms 121. Should we stay on the key?
Come.
Anashya. Ayanyamya. Haharyam. Ma'aya. Yabuwa'ah. Isaiah. Yabuwa'ah. Ma. Yahweh. Sha'isha. Shemayim. Wa'aratiza. La'a. Yanathan. Lamawat. Regalia. Yala'a. Nawam. Shashamaya. Hana. Yala'a. Nawam. Wala'a. Yashun. Shashawamar. Yasharala. Yahweh. Shemaya. Yahweh. Tazalia. Ayo. Yanyamya. Yad. Hashamash. Yala'ab.
Yala'ab.
Hakaya.
Hakaya.
Bayawam.
Bayawam.
Wala'ab.
Wala'ab.
Halabana.
Halabana.
Balayala.
Balayala.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamaria.
Yashamaria.
Makol.
Makol.
Right.
Right.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Yapasha.
Yapasha.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Abulakia.
Abulakia.
Wa'aya.
Wa'aya.
Ma'aitha.
Ma'aitha.
Wa'ai.
Wa'ai.
I will love.
I will love.
Amen.
Amen.
I will lift up my eyes to the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Israelite Credo. Shema Yasharallah.
Shema Yasharallah.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Eloheinu.
Eloheinu.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Echad.
Echad.
Shema Yasharallah.
Shema Yasharallah.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Eloheinu.
Eloheinu.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Echad.
Echad.
Shema Yasharallah.
Shema Yasharallah.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Eloheinu.
Eloheinu.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Echad.
Echad.
Hear Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one.
Lord's Prayer. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Haya.
Haya.
Shemka.
Shemka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malak Watka.
Malak Watka.
Taba'a.
Taba'a.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Haya.
Haya.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Ba'aratiza.
Ba'aratiza.
Hawa.
Hawa.
Haya.
Haya.
Bashemayim.
Bashemayim.
Nathan Lanaw.
Nathan Lanaw.
Bachom.
Bachom.
Kol.
Kol.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalachna.
Wasalachna.
Chawathina.
Chawathina.
Kasalachna.
Kasalachna.
Chawathina.
Chawathina.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Tabiano.
Tabiano.
Banasawam.
Banasawam.
Abo.
Abo.
Awushayna.
Awushayna.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Right.
Right.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Hamalakwa.
Malakwa.
Waha'a.
Waha'a.
Wahatha Pa'ara.
Wahatha Pa'ara.
La'a Walanya.
La'a Walanya.
Aman.
Aman.
Well, you just do it and then read it and then.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you got it. I'll do this.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Aman. Look, you're still lying. Ten Commandments. La'a Yahaya.
La'a Yahaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Alahaya.
Alahaya.
Achayo.
Achayo.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Panya.
Panya.
Thou shalt have no other powers before me.
Number 2. La'a.
La'a.
Ta'ayna.
Ta'ayna.
Laka.
Laka.
Pasal.
Pasal.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Ta'aybado.
Ta'aybado.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor serve them.
Number 3. La'a.
La'a.
Thalach wacha.
Thalach wacha.
Sham.
Sham.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Bashawa.
Bashawa.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain.
Number 4. Zakar.
Zakar.
Hayawam.
Hayawam.
Hashabat.
Hashabat.
La Quadashwa.
La Quadashwa.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Number 5. Kabad Abaka.
Kabad Abaka.
Ya'amaka.
Ya'amaka.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
Number 6. La'a.
La'a.
Tharatazah.
Tharatazah.
Thou shalt not kill, murder.
Number 7. La'a.
La'a.
Thana'a.
Thana'a.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Number 8. La'a.
La'a.
Thagana.
Thagana.
Thou shalt not steal.
Number 9. La'a.
La'a.
Tha'ayna.
Ta'ayna.
Shakwar.
Shakwar.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Number 10. La'a.
La'a.
Thachamad.
Thachamad.
Ko.
Ko.
Asherah.
Asherah.
La Ra'aika.
Thou
Ra'aika.
shalt not covet anything which is thy neighbor's.
Baruch Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Baruch Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Ahawa'ah.
Ahawa'ah.
Nathan Lanawa.
Nathan Lanawa.
Hathara.
Hathara.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives us the law.
Israel Yeshabi. I got kind of lost on it. I saw it.
It's all
right.
Getting the ball rolling. It's all good. David's life.
Yes, we're going to do with David's life today. No, today the class is, well, the title was called David's Final Preparations for Solomon. And the way it's looking, I don't think we're going to spend too much time in Chronicles, because Chronicles is pretty much at least First Chronicles. First Chronicles is a recap of the fall of Solomon, then going into David's reign. We did a little bit of it when we was in First Samuel, but what I'm going to do is try to kill two birds with one stone while we're in Kings, and all of the Chronicles chapters that connect to Kings, we're going to knock them out simultaneously, because it doesn't make sense to go back and after we finish First Kings, Second Kings, then we sit back here and just go over everything the same, or everything back over again. Now, what we might start doing is when we get to the end of Chronicles, end of Kings, we need to sit back. We'll make some adjustments there because it goes to the fall of Israel.
Okay.
And it goes into the Babylon conquering us. And we'll sit back here and do some jumping in the Apocrypha. I mean, not the Apocrypha, but the Josephus. Then we'll sit back here and tap into some chapters and verses in Daniel's. We'll do some jumping there. And but for the most part, we're not doing a whole lot of First Chronicles except for today. Because in First Chronicles, there's information in First Chronicles that you need to kind of read before you jump into the meats and the meat and potatoes of 1 Kings chapter 2. Okay, so what we're going to do initially is read 1 Kings chapter 2, and then we're going to jump to Chronicles, and you'll know why I'm doing this. So, Karai, let's get you started off.
Karaya, Shah Shabbatah, Banashar, Banyasha'ala.
Karaya, Shah Shabbatah, Banashar, Banyasha'ala. And much. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatham.
All right. Now, what I'm gonna need you to do is to have 1 Kings chapter 2 and 1 ready, but then I need you to also have 1 Chronicles chapter 23 already ready as well. We're going to be doing a lot of reading today because we have to get through this if we want to kind of stay in chronological order. So we're not just regurgitating the same information in a few weeks or a month and a half or so. So, just give me 1 Kings chapter 2 verse 1.
Come. 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 1. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying.
So, this is at the point where Solomon was about to die, and he was giving David was about to die, and he was giving Solomon all of these last orders and these pretty much his Godfather hit list side and his Godfather preparations. That's really what he was doing. He was like, Joab's got to go. Shammai, dude that was cursing me, the Benjamin that was cursing me, he's got to go. All these guys, I'm gonna give you this hit list that you got a Godfather when it's your time.
And this is why in foreign countries and in different nations, they have mass assassinations of opposition.
Yeah.
Before the new power
regime comes in. But I don't want to jump. I don't want to focus too much on that.
Okay.
The goal is to get through this other reading quick enough so that we can focus on this soon.
Okay.
The reason I went here because it said pretty much he's at the point where he's about to die, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now let's go to 1 Chronicles. We'll hold this. Go back to go to 1 Chronicles chapter 23, while simultaneously giving me Antiquities of the Jews, book 7, chapter 14, paragraph 7, and you'll understand what I'm saying and why I'm saying what I'm saying.
verse in 1 Chronicles 23?
Yeah, 23 and 1.
Okay.
Now, just give us a quick recap. In 1 Chronicles, chapter. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's 23.
Okay.
In chapter 21 in 1 Chronicles dealt with the census, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 22, we went over it, and it dealt with how David stacked all the money, all the gold, bought a whole bunch of wood, a whole bunch of cedar wood. He did a lot of preparations. He had a million pieces of silver. Everything was stacked, ready to go for Solomon. That was in 1 Chronicles chapter 22. Now we're in 1 Chronicles chapter 23. And not only did David set up financially what to do to establish the kingdom, we're going to also find out the extent of what David set up. It wasn't just the financial base. It wasn't just the materials for construction. He set up, and not just the relationships with Hiram and the peace amongst all the nations. What he also set up was the infrastructure of how the temple was supposed to operate. Okay, and he did this before he gave Solomon, before or simultaneously, I can't prove when, but during the time of Solomon's kingdom, when he was a young man, David set up everything for him. The structure of the Levites, the structure of everything and everybody, on top of that kill order that we read briefly about in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. Okay? So, give me Chronicles 23 and 1. It's going to all make sense as we go into it.
1 Chronicles chapter 23 and verse 1. So when David was old and full of days, he made Solomon his son king over Israel.
And don't forget, as we read last week in 1 Kings chapter 1, that was just where we came off, where he ordained Solomon to be king. That was the time. So as he made Solomon king, these are the things he started doing. Now chapter 22 in 1 Chronicles lets you know what he did before Solomon got to that position. Now we're in 23, it explains what he did once Solomon was coronated as the king. Read that.
Come. And he gathered together all the princes of Israel with the priests and the Levites. Now the Levites were numbered from the age of 30 and upward, and their number by their polls, man by man, was 38,000.
Now, before we jump past verse 3, we need to go to paragraph 7 in Antiquities of the Jews, because it explains what verse 2 was all about. Because verse 2 in Chronicles said, and he gathered together all the princes of Israel with the priests and the Levites. So, let's get that.
Antiquity of the Jews, book 7, chapter 14, paragraph 7, page 208. But David, being desirous of ordaining his son king of all the people, called together their rulers to Jerusalem with the priests and the Levites. And having first numbered the Levites, he found them to be 38,000 from 30 years old to 50.
And this wasn't just some regular census to sit back here and do his bidding. He set this census up to start figuring out and aligning how he was going to use the office of the priesthood down the line. How he was going to orchestrate and work these families, these three families. Okay, you had Gershon, Merari, and Kohath. Okay, Kohath, which were the three families of Levites. So he had to see, he broke them down by family, and he sat back here and had them all numbered at the age of religious service, 30 and up. Read on.
Out of which he appointed 23,000 to take care of the building of the temple, and out of the same 6,000 to be judges of the people and scribes, 4,000 for porters to the house of the Most High, and as many for singers to sing to the instruments which David had prepared.
So hold that. We're going to read, I read earlier that it talked about how David had talked to the princes and just reminded them to back him like they backed him. I mean, to back Solomon like they backed him. And they were David sat back here and brought all the princes together to make sure everybody was on board with the new king, with the new focus and the new vision going forward. And he was setting up the priests to get them ready for their job in Israel. Okay, so give me 1 Chronicles 23 and verse 3 again.
Come. 1 Chronicles chapter 23 and verse 3. Now the Levites were numbered from the age of 30 years old and upward, and their number by their polls, man by man, was 38,000.
Done.
Of which 24,000 were to set forward the work of the house of the Most High.
So 24,000, and then we're supposed to sit back here and get prepared to work for the house of the Most High. Their job was to administer and operate in the temple. What I want to show you guys real quick, I'm not going to take too much time on it until like in a few weeks when we start going into the temple. I kind of want to show you how the temple looked inside. I think this is the one. That's a little too choppy. This is probably no. Okay, this helps. When you sit back here, you look online, you'll start seeing how the temple was set up. And you'll start seeing on each side, it's like a 3-story setup around the inside of the temple. And that 3-story setup is for the Levites in their living quarters. Okay, which means you had a lot of different people, Levites, who had different jobs, it was already set up for them to live on site, on the temple, to administer and do the work of the Most High, to do his job. Okay, I want to show another one. No, not that one. Not that one. You can see it here a little bit. Even on the outside here, you start seeing the 3 levels and the 3 tiers. Inside these 3 tiers, it goes all around the temple, 3 sides.
Look like apartment buildings.
Yeah, they're small little lofts, but they're like really small spaces for the Levites to live humbly, to do their job, to operate around the temple, and to do their work inside the temple. So they had a living quarters on site on the temple. And we're going to read in Chronicles is how David set up like a cycling system to where they come in, they come out, they're on duty for 8 days, and they're off duty. They're on duty for 8 days from Sabbath to Sabbath. Then the next crew comes in. He set up crews to come in and administer to the service of the temple. I don't want that one. Forgive me for this kind of. You can kind of see the inside of how things were there too. That's the interior. See, I don't want to spoil all the goodies, man. I'm showing all the colors in I'm showing all the colors and pictures, man. I ain't supposed to do that. It's hilarious. I'm trying to show. You can see it here on the corners. They call them the priest cells. It was 3 stories high, but there are little quarters for each priest to operate and do his job. Y'all see that? They're little apartment buildings, little small little lofts. They go all around the temple. Now the high priests were in the back. The high priests and the treasure rooms were in the back. The sides were for the regular priests doing their job. The porters, we just read about some of the jobs they did. The porters, the singers, and the other basic operators of the temple. Yes, Mom. Yes, Adam.
So where it says priest cells, is that where they lived
yes,
too?
That's where they lived.
Lived in there? Okay.
And there were 3 levels.
Okay.
There were 3 levels, and that was where they lived, right, on campus or on grounds. Right. And the inside is where the priest work was being done.
Okay.
Listen, I can't even say that. I think it's. I saw some images. They look smaller than that.
Yeah,
they were small.
Efficiency though.
They were less than efficient. It was a bedroom, a baby bedroom with a twin bed. I'm missing. Twin bed size. What you gonna say?
Now they didn't live there with their wives and the kids.
No.
Okay.
Remember I told you they were doing 8 days on.
Okay.
Then they were off. Then they rotated another set of priests to come in. So they had week shifts. And that was how they operated. But everybody, all the priests got their hands dirty, so to speak. They all got their work in. I hope that kind of makes sense as we're kind of explaining this. So now, give me verse 4 again in 1 Chronicles 23 and 4.
1 Chronicles chapter 23 and verse 4, of which 24,000 were to set forward the work of the house of the Most High.
So David was already setting up how it was going to be orchestrated, how it was going to be run. It shows you the thought and the mind David really put into setting this temple up. He did all the damn work. So I'm had to come in here and just make sure he didn't screw the pooch up out. But let's keep going.
And 6,000 were officers and judges.
Mm-hmm. So 6,000 were the ones who dealt with judgment, problems, and issues, where people came to the city to deal with problems. 6,000 were commissioned just to deal with problems. Read on.
Moreover, 4,000 were porters.
Let's look up porter. It's like a doorman, but there had to be more to it than just opening doors.
I used to do porter work too.
Oh yeah? What is it?
It's not like janitor work. It was more like just maintaining the cleanliness of the area, and making like detail though, like not just sweeping them out from the floor. It's like wiping the glass down.
That makes sense.
Down and everything like that. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense, because porter, it says a man that has charge of a door or gate, doorkeeper.
Yeah.
And but it makes it a person who, it says a carrier, a person who carries or conveys burdens for hire.
Yeah.
So you had 4,000. You had 4,000 priests or priestly families or sons who had to be porters. Listen, because they said, no, I want to be the priest work, man. I want to deal with the gold jewels, man. And I want to wash my feet in the laver and do all the fancy stuff. Can they say that? No. If David and them said you was a porter, guess what? It was a family of porters. This is what we do. We port.
Yeah. You better be the
We
best
port
porter.
like a mug. This is what we do for the Most High. And let's stop complaining about it. That's important.
Yeah.
'Cause that's just like Merari. I never forget about Merari in Exodus and Leviticus. Merari had to just sit back and be the construction crew out. And then Gershon had to sit back and carry all the linens out, and the linen boys out.
Yeah.
That's not easy. Listen, the construction dudes out, they got to lug heavy pieces of wood out.
All the time.
And every day they're constructing something out. They're changing screws, they're fastening this, they're working on that. That is construction forever.
Even when how the Most High created the body, in 1 Corinthians he says, the eye is not the hand is not the eye is for seeing.
Yep.
Every part of the body has a member in administration.
Yep.
And just like a body, the Most High, David got the temple set up the same way. Everybody has a duty, a responsibility, and if you embrace that duty, it works as a system for the benefit of the whole.
And everybody isn't meant to play the same part.
Everybody
We
can't
might
play the
think
same
we
part.
are. We
Right.
might think we should be in a certain place. Most I got you exactly where you're supposed to
Where
be.
you should be at. Right.
Okay, so let's keep going.
First Chronicles chapter 23 and verse 5 from the top.
Yep.
Moreover, 4,000 were porters, and 4,000 praised the Most High with the instruments which I made, said David.
So listen, 4,000. David was so damn talented at. Not only did he set up a choir, but he said he made the instruments to play for the Most High.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. David had so much range and ability. On top of the fact that he was organized and he was very detailed. He structured how the Levites were supposed to operate. It's crazy. And why did he do that? Solomon was under 20 years old. You're like, this guy's young. I got to set this up right. So this young man don't just sit back here and cut corners and make mistakes in his youth. So he sat back and put all this work into details and specifics, and it turned out perfect. Read on.
To praise therewith. Verse 6. And David divided them into courses among the sons of Levi, namely Gershon, Kohath, and Merari.
So the courses were just rotations. He divided them into groups and rotations. Out of the three families of Levi, like I said, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Read on.
And the Gershonites were Laadan and Shemai. The sons of Laadan, the chief were Jael and Zatham and Joel, 3. The sons of Shemai, Shelomith and Hazel and Haran, 3. These were the chief of the fathers of Laadan.
Hold on real quick. Matter of fact, let's read through chapter 11 Then I want to go back into Josephus and explain these courses a little bit more. Because verse 6 said David divided them into courses. I want to make sure we understand what courses are. Well, let's finish in Corinthians real quick to verse 11 to end it.
Chronicles.
I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Yes, Chronicles. Slaki, yeah.
Verse 10. And the sons of Shimei were Jahath, Zanah, and Jeush, and Beriah. These four were the sons of Shimei, and Jahath was the chief, and Zizah the second. But Jeush and Beriah had not many sons. Therefore, they were in one reckoning, according to their father's house.
What it shows that we said earlier, these were family responsibilities. These were responsibilities passed down from father to son, to grandson, and so forth and so on. You were born into these responsibilities, and each Levitical family had a job to keep and maintain. Okay, now we're going to hold that. We're going to jump back to Antiquities of the Jews, book 7, chapter 14, paragraph 7 from the top again.
But David, being desirous of ordaining his son king of all the people, called together their rulers to Jerusalem with the priests and the Levites. And having first numbered the Levites, he found them to be 38,000.
Now we understand why he had to number them. He had to figure out how he's going to subdivide these groups and these responsibilities. Obviously, you still had Levites in all of those jurisdictions in Israel. All the 38,000 couldn't sit back here and be in Jerusalem. So all of them had to sit back and have their homes and their responsibilities in the different subdivisions and jurisdictions, all in Israel. As we know, in all Israel, there were cities for Levites everywhere. Okay, so they had their responsibilities, and they also had these courses of Levites that had to operate in the temple. Okay, read on.
From 30 years old to 50, out of which he appointed 23,000 to take care of the building of the temple, and out of the same, 6,000 to be judges of the people and scribes.
So these 23,000 had to take care of the building. Read on.
4,000 for porters to the house of the Most High, and as many for singers to sing the instruments which David had prepared, as we have said already. He divided them also into courses, and when he had separated the priests from them, he found of these priests 24 courses, 16 of the house of Eleazar.
And we're going to get to that point. He found the priest, he found courses for the priests, and he found courses for the other men and their responsibilities. So for the priest, there was 16 of Eleazar and 8 from Ithamar. Now scripturally, it was supposed to all be Eleazar, but David still had an affinity with Abiathar at that time. This is why I had to go here before we jump back into 1 Kings, because in 1 Kings, Abiathar gets booted out, and his family line gets booted out. But before Abiathar and his family line gets booted out, Abiathar was part of the rotation of courses of doing their operation and job at the temple. You had 16 with Eleazar, 8 with Abiathar and his family. Okay, read on.
And 8 of that of Ithamar.
And that was Abiathar's lineage, which wasn't supposed to be doing the temple work. Read on.
And he ordained that one course should minister to the Most High 8 days, from Sabbath to Sabbath.
And that was the point. The course was from Sabbath to Sabbath. Yeah. It was for 8 days. So what he had is he had all these priests. If you had 24 priests, that means you had a rotation. Every week you had a new rotation of priests that had a different rotation of duties. So if you had the high priest were getting rotated in once a week, that means the porters were getting rotated in once a week, the singers were getting rotated in once a week, all these Levites were getting rotated in weekly.
It was fresh spirit.
Fresh. Everybody was fresh. It wasn't burnout. They can all go back to their families. They gave their week up, and then they had to come back for another 25 weeks. Okay, yes, sir.
You ever heard of that project management methodology? They call it like green belt, yellow, black belt certification. Like, it's just someone who is a project manager full time. It's like that what communicates like what that is today. Like someone who's in a full time capacity to go into an area and make intricate processes to improve and develop.
He was very organized. And he sat back here and everybody do responsibilities. Then he sat back here and gave them breaks. Gave everybody enough ample time to be with their families.
Yeah.
The rotations were solid enough.
Crazy.
Everybody got in, they got out. Nobody was stuck in the situation all day long. When you have that many people, you can operate like that.
An extreme amount of coordination.
But this, once again, this shows you how brilliant David. I'm not taking anything from Solomon, but David set the whole thing up. He put everything into play. He even made the instruments.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So let's keep going.
Gun. Line 366. And thus were the courses distributed by lot.
So the courses and their duty stations, their duties, were distributed by lot. Okay, read on.
In the presence of David and Zadok and Abiathar, the high priest, and of all the rulers, and that course which came up first was written down as the first, and accordingly the second, and so on to the 24th.
What it also did is help. It was actually great training for all those different groups of Levites. Don't forget that Saul. What did Saul do? Saul sat back here and destroyed all the priests. Remember, he destroyed that priest city. That was dealt with by that was Ithamar lineage and was part of Abiathar's family. He wiped out all the priestly family in that city. And what ended up happening is that ended up jacking up all the training of the priests. There was really no structured Levitical place to train all the Levites. And at that time also, we're going to go into it when we get into 1 Kings chapter 3, 1 Kings chapter 4. But it talks about in 1 Kings 3 that the Israelites were still worshiping in high places at that time, because they didn't sit back here and have any spiritual guidance. It was still herky-jerky with the priesthood. Don't forget, when Shiloh was the place of the tabernacle during the time of who? Saul. From the time of Joshua all the way to the time of Saul, Shiloh was the place where the temple was being worked on, and the tabernacle was, and the ark was, and the religious activities were going on, right? After the Philistines took that over, ended up going to Kirjath Jearim. They ended up going to, I think it was Nob. It kept going to a bunch of different places. And after that land of Nob, that city of Nob was taken out by Saul, it ended up going to Gibeon. The place kept traveling and moving, and there was no stability, there was no consistency, and there was no Levitical training. So setting a centralized place where all the different Levitical families can get trained was necessary. It created stability in the kingdom. Okay, so let's keep going.
And so on to the 24th.
So the 24 rotations. Read on.
And this partition hath remained
If
to
you
this day.
think about it, it says it remains. That system remains to present day. 24 times 2 is 48. So pretty much you're gonna sit back and serve approximately twice a year. That's not bad, man. Now there's 52 weeks in a year, so one person might do a handful, might do 3, but that's not a burnout, man.
There's no complaining.
There's no complaining. There's no burnout. The system was still intact when we fell in 70 AD.
Wow.
Read on. That was a tried and true, phenomenal approach.
Line 367. He also made 24 parts of the tribe of Levi, and when they cast lots, they came up in the same manner for their courses.
See, he said he made 24 parts initially for the priest. Now he's sitting back here and setting up the 24 parts for the tribe of Levi. For everybody's different job, they had 24 courses too. Right? So not only were the priests, did they have their rotations, the porters had their rotations, the singers had their rotations, all the workers had their rotations. Everybody had their week rotation on, rest of their time off. Week rotation on, rest of their time off. Everybody had that system for every person's responsibility. So at this time, all David was doing was reclassifying their responsibilities, because since Exodus, Merari was construction crew, but if you're not moving around no more, what type of construction are you going to be doing? So now, Merari has to be given another job, another responsibility. Gershon's family, Kohath family, they all have to get reestablished for their responsibilities. The priests were Kohath, and the 8 Ithamar. Anyway, y'all understand what I'm saying? Is it making sense? Okay.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
All right. I was doing a green belt certification stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The coordination it takes to put 12 to 15 people together to have them do like one operation.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine something like this.
This is 24,000, man.
That's crazy.
In a rotation. Can you imagine what type of checking and double checking and making sure everybody's responsible, and as in, if it's damn Naphtali's turn and they're way on the other side of the country, got to get their number right. They got to get transport from point A to point B, and then listen. You know how much chaos happens at damn Jack in the Box on a shift change? What happens when the guy gets an hour late? It jacks up the whole rotation. People want to leave. The oven's hot. Nobody wants to stay and work for an extra hour because the other person called in late. I'm gonna be 2 hours late. That cook is mad as hell. But can you imagine how that system has to work and how coordinated and organized it has to be? Tribe to tribe, city to city, week to week.
That's crazy.
And then how the rooms have to be cleaned and gutted before you leave. And then you can't be leaving no damn messes and trash in the little 3-story homes and habitations.
Right.
And you know Israel wants to be nasty. You know there's a couple Levites that just wasn't cleaning up their spots out.
It makes it harder for the next person.
That's my point. Can you just see how the system has to run super smooth out for this machine to work?
The scripture said, "Let all things be done decently and in order." But if previous shift, if all the items and the sensors or whatever was supposed to be in one area, those sensors were relocated. Nobody could find the sensors to do the job.
Good. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you're retraining for 24 different sets of people and their tendencies, and you got to train them till they all understand it. That first orientation was a mug. To start training these guys how to do it, that's insane. Anyway, but you're seeing that the scope that David's having to operate this thing in and set it up for his son, and why he felt it necessary to do it instead of his 18-year-old son. I'm just giving a roundabout number. Okay, let's continue.
Line 367. He also made 24 parts of the tribe of Levi, and when they cast lots, they came up in the same manner for their courses of 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
He also honored the posterity of Moses and made them the keepers of the treasures of the Most High.
The posterity of Moses is the Kohath family. Trying to find out. Here it goes. Y'all see it online? At the top, treasure rooms and pre-sales. The pre-sales is where the family of Kohath lived in. The priests lived in the back, behind the Holy of Holies. But there's 3 levels. There's 3 stories to it. So the treasure rooms were up there, probably the top floor. The top floors, and there wasn't as many high priests as there were porters and all those other guys. So they were in the back, and they guarded the treasure rooms also. That's what all the money was, man. Mm-hmm. All the money, and to be specifically the money that was meant to be saved and stacked for the poor, for the needy.
All the tithe money.
All the tithes money and the offering money was given there and kept for the distribution of the needs of the camp, the church, the school, the people. They was in the back. Okay, that makes sense, right?
That's Kohath.
That's Kohath. Yes, that was Moses' family. This is kind of intricate, but I want to make sure we take our time and explain it because it's important. Versus just running through it. Read on.
And made them the keepers of the treasures of the Most High, and of the donations which the king dedicated.
God.
He also ordained that all the tribe of Levi, as well as the priests, should serve the Most High night and day, as Moses has enjoined them.
So what probably happened, that's why you had to have those 3 stories. You probably had to have a night crew, a night shift, and a day shift.
That's crazy.
It's like a Whataburger, right? 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
Listen, you gotta run the kitchen out from 12 to 12, right?
It sounds like a base to me.
It's open all damn day long.
Like a 24-hour base operation.
You got different. That's why there's so many people that had to be running through there, right?
Even the menorah at the altar.
The lights had to be
had to stay lit.
There were multiple candlesticks. We're gonna go into that later, but there were like 10 candlesticks going on the whole time. It was fire all the time, right? There was jobs and work going on all day long.
Those are your civil engineers.
Huh? Listen, all I can tell you is it was always activity there at the temple.
It's like right.
So I'm just trying to paint the picture. 3 stories on both sides, enough to operate multiple sets of people to work 8 days a week. 8 days in a week. You probably had to have 2 crews at the same time to operate day and night.
Even though they weren't traveling with the tabernacle like they used to back in the wilderness, it still showed that there was so much work that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't traveling,
Huh?
the show wasn't on the road. It was stationary.
Those guys working night had to be up. They had to be up in the night so the day shift can sleep.
Yep.
Day shift went up, night shift went to sleep.
Your home had to be in order, so they're like, oh, my ribs.
You had a cot out. Listen, you probably had the top floor was probably one shift, the middle floor was another shift. I don't know how the hell they did it, but I can imagine to a degree what they were doing and how it operated.
You know, people try to call in that.
You can't no call it in, right? Listen, you got jobs to do, right? You can't be straggling in late.
Yeah.
It's like there's no excuse. You're right in the second flow.
Right.
How you get here late?
Overslept.
Overslept, yeah.
There ain't no excuse, man. I overslept.
Yeah, go get it.
My alarm clock didn't cut on, huh?
Yeah. The rooster didn't crow. Right?
It's crazy, huh? Kinda. But this is how it was operating, huh? Hold that. Let's get back in chapter 23, verse 12 now. So from verse 7 to verse 11 deals with Gershon and that family line. Read on.
1 Chronicles 23 and verse 12. The sons of Kohath, Amram, Izahar, Hebron, and as well 4. The sons of Amram, Aaron and Moses. And Aaron was separated, that he should sanctify the most holy things.
I'm gonna say, hold on a second. What they do when they was out on shift? Probably sleep, study, relax a little bit. There wasn't much time. You're 12. I guess I would imagine you're 12 hours on, 12 hours off. So maybe study, pass the time. I don't know. Listen, you couldn't be walking around the temple.
Things that please the
Yeah. To stay your butt in the box, huh? While everybody else is doing their job on campus, huh? I don't think you can go down the street to the Jerusalem Diner, right? Jerusalem Diner downtown. I don't know. Maybe you could. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, the mindset would be different, right? Like our minds would actually be pleasing the Most High, not all these distractions.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you would go eat. I don't know. I don't know how strict it was, but obviously they had enough to sustain themselves.
It's probably a lot of work. It's probably just a lot of work. Most High keeps everybody busy.
Well, and also you're fed off the temple anyway. All the offerings you're eating off the temple offerings.
It had to be a good experience. You had people coming in. They had different problems, different issues, sacrifices.
Oh, it's a hell of an experience, huh?
If we had stayed our nation, we'd know.
Yeah.
And their level of discipline and dedication back then was way different than what.
And that's the.
Well, what you're gonna read that as we go on. How only the chief men were allowed to even be there. If you weren't a chief man, if you weren't a person who was responsible and earned that respect, you weren't even gonna get that opportunity.
True, and also too, you look at how Esau operates his nation. He has his I guess what you would call his Congress. He has his Washington D.C. He has his rotation to govern his nation.
Yeah.
This is our rotation on a spiritual level to govern our nation.
Yeah. And just like just like if you're going to be a senator or House representative, you can't just be some slap. You know what?
Yeah.
You can't just sit back here and just be some regular guy. You have to earn that position with your discipline and dedication.
There's
Even
probably a statue behind it.
Well, that's the whole point. That's what it's going to explain.
Okay.
We'll get there. So, verse 13, sir.
Con. First Chronicles 23:13. The sons of Amram, Aaron and Moses, and Aaron was separated that he should sanctify the most holy things.
So Amram was the father of Moses and Aaron. Okay. So Aaron, he says Moses and Aaron were separated. Oh, read verse 13 again. My mistake. Read verse 13.
Con. The sons of Amram, Aaron and Moses, and Aaron was separated that he should sanctify the most holy things.
And we read about that. Aaron's family lineage was where the priests were going to be. The holy priests were going to be. Every other family couldn't be the priest. Read on. That's why having Abiathar and Zadok as the joint high priest didn't make sense. Zadok was the one who had the access and the right to be the high priest, because Zadok came from the family of Aaron.
If you mind repeating that?
What I was saying is that this verse is proof that even how David set up initially the priesthood. Remember, Aaron had two priests. He had he had Zadok, and he had Abiathar. Abiathar was from the lineage of Ithamar. You know, I've been saying that a while ago, but that Ithamar was the lineage that wasn't supposed to be the high priest. They were supposed to operate in a priestly fashion, not be the high priest. Things went left from the time of Eli, back in 1 Samuel. Eli and his sons, they were Ithamar. And the Most High cursed Eli about his lineage never being able to be priests down the line. Part of that prophecy happened when Saul killed all those priests in that priestly city. Abiathar was still remaining. Okay, Abiathar eventually gets booted out by Solomon, as we're going to read later on, maybe today. I don't know if we'll get to it. But Aaron's lineage was supposed to be the one that the priests went through. Zadok was of the family lineage of Aaron. So he had the rightful heir to being the high priest, not Abiathar. That makes sense? Okay, let's continue.
God. He and his sons forever to burn incense before the Most High, to minister unto him, and to bless his name forever. Now concerning Moses, the man of the Most High, his sons were named of the tribe of Levi. The sons of Moses were Gershom and Eleazar.
Eleazar.
And of the sons of Gershom, Shebuel was the chief. And the sons of Eleazar were Rehabiah, the chief, and Eleazar had none other sons. But the sons of Rehabiah were very many.
It keeps telling you that the chief of the sons was always classified. Let's look up chief real quick. Chief. Listen, read the second one.
Con. Chief, in the 1828 dictionary, principal or most eminent in any quality or action, most distinguished, having most influence, commanding most respect, taking the lead, most valuable, most important, a word of extensive use as a country chief in arms.
What you're going to see is the Most High in the spiritual realm, even on a terrestrial plane, the chief has to lead. The chief has to lead. The one who's most eminent is the one who is the most distinguished, the most influence, commands the most respect, takes the lead, most valuable, most important. These things are important in leadership. In order to be a leader, to be put in a position of leader, you have to prove that day in, day out, your works justify your position. So even when they were sitting back here and setting up responsibilities in the temple, the people who were the most dedicated, consistent, reliable, steady. They were the ones given these positions. You just don't get them just because. You don't just get them because you're a nice guy and you smile at people. You get them because you earn it. You get them because you sacrifice and you dedicate and you put in the work.
Yeah.
That's how the Most High always had it set up from the beginning. It's up.
And the scriptures say, first you must have a willing mind.
Huh?
You know, so the mind frame, you have to be willing to want to be in a position of responsibility. It can't be like against your will.
Huh.
It can't be. The Most High don't want it if it's against your will anyway.
Huh? And once you get to the will part, then it's about execution.
Yeah.
Once you want it, and everybody there wants it, then where's your execution? Where's your consistency? Where's that fight? Then that person is made the chief. And then when that person, if that person shows that they really aren't as dedicated as they seem, they get pulled out. Let's keep reading.
Come. First Chronicles chapter 23 and verse 18.
So in each family lineage, it is clearly pointed out who the chief of that household is. The chief son, the chief man in that house. It's pointed out, and then the families are and the responsibilities are distinguished from there. Read on.
Come. Of the sons of Izar, Shelomith the chief. Of the sons of Hebron, Jeriah the first, Amariah the second, Jahaziel the third, and Jechamam the fourth. Of the sons of Uziel, Makah the first, and Jesiah the second.
The funny thing is, some of these families don't have a chief in it. Hebron, the sons of Hebron, there wasn't no chief. There was just the firstborn, the second, the third, and the fourth. Shelomith, the son of Ishar, was a chief. Uziel didn't even have a chief son. They just had the firstborn and the second son. Read on.
The sons of Merari, Malai, and Mushi. The sons of Malai, Eleazar, and Kish. And Eleazar died and had no sons, but daughters. And their brethren, the sons of Kish, took them.
So their brethren, the sons of Kish, took them, which means what? The brethren took those daughters. The first son that they had from those women ended up being in the line and took the place of the father that died. Okay? Read on. Does that make sense? Okay, read on.
Verse 23.
I just want to rush it.
The sons of Mushi, Malai, and Eder, and Jeremiah, 3. These were the sons of Levi after the house of their fathers, even the chief of the fathers, as they were counted by number of names by their poles, that did the work for the service of the house of the Most High, from the age of 20 years old and upward.
Okay.
For David said, the Most High power of Israel have given rest unto his people.
So after the wars are done, after the killing's over, now you can start sitting back here and structuring a proper kingdom, structuring proper systems. Okay, read on.
That they may dwell in Jerusalem forever. And also the Levites, they shall no more carry the tabernacle, nor any vessels of it for the service thereof. For by the last words of David, the Levites were numbered from 20 years old and above.
So David was still doing real work as he got up in his years. And by the time we read in chapter 1, he was still with that coldness and he needed to stay warm.
Yeah.
He was still figuring things out and planning, even in that old age.
He was productive.
He was still productive when he was shivering. He was shivering and still thinking and processing and putting things together. He was still operating now.
I think that's amazing too, because some people think that the aspect of the work in basically, okay, just my sword, I'm on the battlefield, I'm slicing necks, I'm chopping off heads, and not understanding that there's also, you can still find, benefit and use cerebrally,
Listen,
coordination, tactics, instead of just
swinging
sword.
It talks to you about that in 1 Samuel when he was cunning and playing. Yeah. He was good in affairs.
Diverse.
He was well rounded from his youth. He could sit back here. He was wise. He could fight. He could do all of it. And then David understood, hey, I can plan things out and organize things because I put 30 years into killing and 35 years into warring and structuring and fighting to establish peace enough.
Warring is strategy.
Warring and strategy and positioning to get ourselves in a position where we can, now we can sit back here and think and plan and organize and structure and create peace and we don't got to think about war because we did the war already.
But
look how long it took him to even get to this point. He always had this ability, but he was warring and fighting and some of it was his mistakes. But for the most part, he had to sit back here and put in 38 years, 35 years of fighting and killing just to get to this position to plan and organize.
It's hard to do that when you got bills, you got enemies.
Listen, whether it's Philistines or it's Bills.
Yeah.
Bills or Philistines, there's still a monster out.
It's hard to do that.
6-finger giants or 4-figure rent bills.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And you can't build nothing, you ain't save nothing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. God. So it just shows you the different facets of David were allowed to expand out after he put the work in of establishing the building blocks of the nation in the first place. Okay, let's continue in Chronicles 23.
First Chronicles chapter 23 and verse 28. Because their office was to wait on the sons of Aaron for the service of the house of the Most High, in the courts, and in the chambers, and in the purifying of all holy things, and the work of the service of the house of the Most High.
So their job was to sit back and go through those rotations to make sure all the different offices and responsibilities were taken care of. Read on.
Both for the shewbread, and for the fine flour for meat offering, and for the unleavened cakes, and for that which is baked in the pan, and for that which is fried, and for all manner of measure and size, and to stand every morning to thank and praise the Most High, and likewise at even.
And this thing was cooking all damn day long. Praise, singing,
it was bomb.
Sacrificing, fires was lit, candles was lit 24/7, 365. You went to the temple, it was open. And the service of the Most High was going on.
To light the nation up. And you know what it does? It really emphasizes how important the Most High is, where nothing supersedes the importance of the Father. In our society, sports supersedes the Most High.
Yeah. Just pastimes.
Pastime,
4th of July,
leisure, the cycle of holidays, like you said. Really, just the seasons, bro.
Yeah.
It's summertime, it's springtime. The sale, we got a sale going on. All these different things supersede, and people follow what the most important emphasis is. So the nation had to be in order this time because of look how much he decorated the temple. Look how much he made that the focal point.
Yeah,
that was
it's at the high. You're going to find out that place at the high point of the city or the country.
Yeah, listen, it puts your mind on the Most High is always the focus.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to think about it, it's always the focus. It's always popular.
You can do sacrifice in the day, in the night, 24/7, 365 sacrifices. You had night out sacrifices. You know that.
Yeah, you know people had like.
Let's get there. I'll get there at 1 o'clock in the morning.
There's some brothers like that.
I already know that brothers like that. Don't sit back and sacrifice at 1 a.m.
It's like, come on, man.
You waited all day.
It was hot. It was hot outside.
I'm waiting to cool off outside first. Ain't nobody getting. Everybody ain't getting there at 6 a.m.
Israel will always have slow posts.
But we got that. Let's keep going.
Verse 31. And to offer all burnt sacrifices unto the Most High in the Sabbaths, in new moons, and on the set feasts by number.
So all these are days where you want to go sacrifice in the temple, whether it's a new moon, whether it's a set feast, a Sabbath. Read on.
According to the order commanded unto them continually before the Most High.
And once again, this was the plan. It's not happening yet. This is what was set up for Solomon to take over once the temple was completed.
And the goal was for this legacy to last forever.
Yeah.
It wasn't a contemporary idea. He was making this to last generation, like the scripture says.
Yeah.
Forever.
Forever. That's
perpetual.
That's the goal.
So we also had a culinary team then.
What was that?
So we also had a culinary team then.
Well, yeah, they had to have people who were setting who were cooking and dealing with the fine flour and the baking in the pans. They had to have all of it.
Every detail
that's
was focused on that.
That's a whole operation in itself.
Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah, it is. There's a lot going on all day, and it had to be so much work and attention to detail for it to run and organize the right way. So let's keep going.
And it shows the beauty. It shows the beauty of how a nation, when we finally make the Most High the focus,
Yep.
how we can unify and operate together.
Done.
We can coordinate together when the Most High is the central focus.
Yep. And there's no distractions.
There's no distractions. There's no counter ideals. There's no alternatives. There's no other ideas.
Ulterior motives.
You could tell when, based on the idea of there being idol gods, how it split the nation alone.
Yeah.
That alone, the idea of Most High is the Most High, but what about Baal? What about Shamash? What about other gods out here? What about the gods of Egypt? What about these other gods? You can see how it was splitting the thread of the seams of the nation.
Yeah.
Because you can't focus on the Father 100% and get the right type of service when your mind's in two different places. Because no man can serve two masters.
Okay.
So it behooves us to work together and stay coordinated.
Mhm.
That creates a strong nation. That's why China is hard to deal with, because even though they got their form of government, they have one system, they have one structure, and they have one focus. That's their cultural theme. They're all Confucius, so they were raised under that system. That's how I want to put it. I'm not gonna.
Confucius.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying Confucius is the way to do it. I'm saying that they have one form of.
I know that.
Okay.
I'm not Confucius. Watch out for it.
Yeah.
It's coming for you.
Well, when you say that, when you actually read Confucius, he said that the Chinese dynasties were created when they created a dynasty. They were creating a dynasty for the purpose to last 5,000 years, no less than 5,000 years. That's how far in advance that they were trying to propel their people, was 5,000 years ahead. You know, our generation, you know, we inherit our parents' debts.
Yeah.
One generation, the house about to get took.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
We about to lose the house.
Yeah.
We got to come together, do a cookout, sell barbecue plates.
It's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? We got to do all these things because we don't think down range like that.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? But it shows that it's possible because David did it for our people, where he was able to put them in a position where they could succeed with the Most High forever. You know, an everlasting situation. But our people, we think here and now, day to day, you know, it's about me enjoying my life. I got to live my life and I got to pursue me. You're not thinking about the next generation and the next generation that comes after.
Yeah.
But David's laying that down right here.
Yeah. It's crazy because once the kids get older, like grandparents, you know what I'm saying? When they have children, they're like 20s and up, they go, oh yeah, they grown, they got, you know what I'm saying, they go to college, they got their own little apartment. I mean, now it's me time now. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So let's keep going.
Verse 32. And that they should keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the charge of the holy place, and the charge of the sons of Aaron, their brethren, in the service of the house of the Most High.
Done. Read on.
Chapter 24, verse 1. Now these are the divisions of the sons of Aaron. The sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar.
Now we know that Nadab and Abihu were the ones that started burning strange incense in Exodus, man. They were burning that what's that?
Letitia.
I was gonna say something different, but that's a good one. They were burning the devil's lettuce out. They were burning the devil's lettuce out right where the tabernacle was getting consecrated. I'm not lying. Listen, I'm not gonna say it was literally weed, but they was burning the devil's lettuce out. They was burning some. There was two guys. They were the sons of Aaron.
That's messed up.
Burning the devil's lettuce out right when the Most High was sitting back here consecrating the tabernacle, and the Most High sat back and burnt both of those guys in the midst of the process of the tabernacle.
You
and
always
Moses said, "You better not stop. Don't cry. Keep this thing going, bro. We'll have your cousins pick up these charred bodies and take them out.
You couldn't show like any sign of
you had to be going through the process. Get it done. Is these just because they tripped?
They made a choice.
You can't sit back here and get caught up into them.
Yeah.
But that was Nadab and Abihu. But let's keep going. Verse 2.
Verse 2. But Nadab and Abihu died before their father, and had no children. Therefore Eleazar and Ithamar executed the priest's office.
Exactly. They execute the priest's office. Eleazar was the only one supposed to touch the items inside. Whether it was the table of showbread, whether it was the lights, the menorah of the Most High, the altar, that was up for the family of Eleazar, not Ithamar. Read on.
And David distributed them, both Zadok of the sons of Eleazar and of Ahimelech, the sons of Ithamar, according to their offices in their service. And there were more chief men found of the sons of Eleazar than of the sons of Ithamar.
There were more trustworthy men of Eleazar than Ithamar. There were more men that were responsible to sit back and lean on to make sure the job got done with Eleazar than with Ithamar's family line. Read on.
And thus were they divided. Among the sons of Eleazar there were 16 chief men of the house of their fathers, and 8 among the sons of Ithamar, according to the house of their fathers. Thus were they divided by lot, one sort with another, for the governors of the sanctuary and governors of the house of the Most High.
So the ones who had to actually take care of the actual inside of the temple were these 24 men. 16 of them were Eleazar, 8 were Ithamar. Okay, and out of them they did their 8-day rotations themselves also, along with the other men who had their jobs to do. Remember that temple, it was 3 stories and it went around like this? The back area was where these men were at. The treasure areas were up top, and their quarters were at the bottom.
I wonder if their shifts were longer. Longer than
No, it's 24. It's 16 and 8. It's still 20. It still rotates to 24. Okay.
These 24 men were in the priest's cells.
Yes. No. Yeah. The 24 men in the back ran all the interior. I'll show another image real quick.
Not the priest's cells.
Damn it. Let me see. It wasn't. I got. Did I put them on? Let me see. No, not that one. No, not that one. I think that's the one I wanted earlier. You see how the little rooms are in there? It was just 3 stories around like that. But the priest, the 24 men, the 16 from Eleazar and 8 from Ithamar, their responsibility was these locations. That's the Holy of Holies, but the holy place and the tabernacle. I'm trying to read what the hell it is, what that word is. You got better eyes than me, Shams? What's that say?
It says
It's right there in that conto over there, man.
Verdict.
I don't know.
VET.
Yeah. That,
All I'm saying is
it looks like a
Vestibule.
nah, shit.
that could be it.
I don't think it is.
Vestibule?
Yeah, vestibule. It looks like that. It's hard to see it.
That's how it looks.
Anyway, it'll probably say it somewhere else.
Super tiny writing right there, bro.
Well, this is what I was trying to show, those pre-sales. You have the treasure, this is the back. This is that back area. It's 3 stories. You have the treasure room at the top, and you have the pre-sales at the bottom too.
It's a vestibule. A vestibule is an antechamber, hall, or lobby.
It's like the entryway leading into the
foyer,
actual holy
like a
place.
foyer.
Yeah, foyer, exactly. So, as we go into the breakdown of the temple, we'll go through all these pictures.
Oh, okay.
But this back area is the pre-sales, and the treasure rooms are at the top floor. Okay? Just so we can have kind of a grasp of what's going on. We'll go into all this stuff, all this breakdown stuff later.
Okay.
But that's where the pre-sales were. That's where these 24 men, they were in the back. All the treasures are on top. Okay? So, let's continue in Chronicles, sir. There's a lot of detail to this stuff. We're going into this Kings, man. But let's do it.
We're in verse
5.
6.
verse 5.
6?
Yeah, there was 6, yeah.
6 though.
First Chronicles chapter 24 and
Give
verse
me
6.
5. Give me 5 again.
First Chronicles 24 and 5. Thus were they divided by lot, one sort with another, for the governors of the sanctuary and governors of the house of the Most High were of the sons of Eleazar and of the sons of Ithamar.
So they had to govern the sanctuary and they had to run the whole operation, pretty much. They had to run the inside and run the outside and run the quarters and run the grounds, because they're outside of the grounds. You still had all these different labors to wash. You had the altar outside. You had a lot of things going on outside too. Yes, sir.
In the picture you just showed, what was the purpose of the attic being gold plated?
Well, that's why I said we're going to that. Stay tuned, my friend. And that's in 1 Kings chapter 6.
All right.
We'll explain more. We'll explain more. We'll explain. Anyway, yeah, I asked the same question, but it goes into the details. It's all gold. All that stuff's gold, bro. They just explained that little space up top was gold, but that whole thing was inlaid with gold.
And it's gonna explain why it was.
No, it just tells you that it's gold.
Why was it gold?
Why is any of it gold?
But why the attic? Why
Is any of it gold? Is what I'm not trying to be sarcastic.
No,
but
no.
like, why is any of it gold? The whole thing was gold. All the interior of it was gold. It wasn't just the way that image looked at. It was just gold up there. It was gold everywhere.
Oh, okay.
The whole
All
thing
right.
was gold.
Yeah, 'cause
But they
showed
just
the
want to
attic being
explain that part was gold too.
Oh, okay.
And there was a space. What they were explaining, there was a space on top of the Holy of Holies.
Yeah.
That was just gold, and it was cut off from, like, it wasn't just one straight up construct. It was one construct, and then there was a little space that was gold too.
Mhm.
But everything was gold around it.
Okay.
The nails were gold plated. Everything was. They were plated gold. Anyway, we're going to it because you couldn't put a gold nail because that shit would bend and break and it couldn't hold nothing. It'd be too molded, too moving, too
Gold
soft.
don't rust.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it won't hold either.
Yeah, it's too soft.
If you want that good gold, maybe that nickel gold, that
Valuable.
gold and nickel mix, that 10 carat might hold.
That flea market.
Yeah, that's
gold.
what I'm saying. That'll hold. You can make that a nail. But some real 18K, nah, man, that's gonna be too soft. So let's keep going. Verse 6.
Khan. And Shemaiah, the son of Nathaniel, the scribe, one of the Levites, wrote them before the king and the princes, and Zadok the priest, and Ahimelech, the son of Abiathar, and before the chief of the fathers of the priests and Levites, one principal household being taken for Eleazar, and one taken for Ithamar.
Mm-hmm.
Now the first lot came forth to Jehoarib, the second to Jedaiah.
So what it's saying is these are the lots and the 8-day rotations and how it was set up. Jehoiarib took the first 8 days. Jedaiah take the second 8 days.
Mhm.
Now we're going to Harim and Sorim, and now we're going through the name game. But it's just telling you that all these high priests and the sons, they're either the sons of Eleazar or the sons of Ithamar, and they were taken by lot. And this is how it went. So keep going.
Khan. The third to Harim, the fourth to Seorim, the fifth Machajah, the sixth to Mejamin.
And what it said is, it says, and before the chief of the fathers of the priests and Levites, one principal household being taken for Eleazar, one for Ithamar. So I would imagine 1 week, for 1 week it was Eleazar, and then one of the families of Ithamar took a lot. Then it was Eleazar, and it was Ithamar, and it was Eleazar, and it was Ithamar. And that's how the rotation was going. Read on.
The seventh to Hakaz, the eighth to Abijah, the ninth to Jeshua, the 10th to Jeconiah, the 11th to Eliashib, and 12th to Jakin, the 13th to Huppah, the 14th to Deshabed, the 15th to Bilgah, the 16th to Amir, the 17th to Hezir, the 18th to Abses.
And that's why understanding in paragraph 7 that these were 8-day courses was important to understand. And y'all also understand, this is why I don't want to go over this again. We're not going back to First Chronicles after this, man. You get my point? Just to read this stuff over and over
Yeah,
again?
I got you.
It just doesn't make sense. Let's keep going.
Khan. Verse 16. The 19th to Pethahiah,
Pethahiah. Mhm.
Pethahiah, the 20th to Jehezekiel, the 21st to Jakin, the 22nd to Gamul, the 23rd to Delahiah, the 24th to Mahaziah. These were the orderings of them in their service to come into the house of the Most High, according to their manner, and and under Aaron their father, as the Most High power of Israel had commanded him. And the rest of the sons of Levi were these: of the sons of Amram, Shebael, and the sons of Shebael, Jehadiah.
I'm sorry. Who are we talking about? Verse 20? Is this
No. This is still this is the sons of Amram, which is still it's probably Moses' sons, because Amram had 2 sons.
So we just went over Aaron.
No, but exactly. But you read earlier in 23. Read verse 13. It says the sons of Amram, Aaron and Moses. Okay, so then verse 14 went through the family of Moses, and more than likely, Shalomoth. In verse 18 it says of the sons of Ishhar, Shelomith, the chief. And in verse 22 it is of the Isharites, Shelomoth. It's the same guy, because Ishhar was the father of Shelomar in verse 18, and now we're in verse 22. So what it's saying is the rest of the sons of Amram are these men. They just couldn't be the priest. They couldn't operate in the function of the priest like Aaron's sons, because Aaron's sons were chose for that position, not Moses' sons. So we're dealing with Moses' sons on this one. From verse 20 and down, he's dealing with Moses' lineage.
Okay.
That's still operating and still living.
Wow.
So read verse 20 again.
And the rest of the sons of Levi were these: of the sons of Amram, Shebuel, and the sons of Shebael, Jehadiah. Concerning Rehabiah, of the sons of Rehabiah, the first was Ishiah. Of the Izharites, Shelomoth. Of the sons of Shelomoth, Jahath. And the sons of Hebron, Jeriah the first, Amariah the second, Jahaziel the third, Jekaim the fourth. Of the sons of Uziel, Maachah. Of the sons of Maachah, Shamir. The brother of Maachah was Mashiach. Of the sons of Ishiah, Zechariah. The sons of Merari were Malai and Mushi. The sons of Jahaziah, Beno. The sons of Merari by Jahaziah, Beno, and Shoham, Zakur, and Abri.
Obviously from verse 25 or 26, now you're dealing with the sons of Merari. From verse 20 to 25 was dealing with Moses' sons, because they were the other sons of Amram. Okay, read on.
Verse 28. And Malai came Eleazar, who had no sons. Concerning Kish, the son of Kish were Jeremiel. The sons also of Mushi, Malai, and Adir, and Jeremiah. These were the sons of the Levites after the house of their fathers. These likewise cast lots over against their brethren, the source of Aaron, in the presence of David the king, and Zadok, and Ahimelech, and the chief of their fathers of the priests and Levites, even the principal fathers, over against their younger brethren.
So they were still sitting back here and casting lots for responsibilities and rotations in the tabernacle, in the temple. They just weren't doing priestly specific work. There were other responsibilities that were delegated for these guys, whether it was porters, like I said earlier, singers, and matter of fact, you're gonna, I think this next chapter talks about the singing family. They were Asaph. They must have had some Luther Vandross vocals out, and that whole family could sing out of something. So amazing that I've been waiting. It's classic, man. Anyway, they must have had some phenomenal singers. Had to sound really good at. So yeah, that's what chapter 25 talks about, the singers and how they set up the singers and their courses and their rotations.
What's the proper understanding of casting lots? Is it like a pole or something?
I would imagine it's a poll, or they sat back here and
like a vote,
some kind of vote. Because it says David, Zadok, and Ahimelech were there through the whole process. I guess to make sure there was no dirty business going on, or the right men were in the right positions, and it was some type of voting process. Okay, I can't tell you how the casting lots. If y'all want to look into it real quick and do a Google hit, I'm not tripping on casting lots. Random selection. It's to cast lots, random selection, the drawing of lots, drawing straws. Just different ways of. I can't even tell you exactly what they used as the form to draw lots, but I've seen draw lots. You see they have the straws like this, and you can't see how long it is.
Yeah.
And you got to pick it.
That's what I thought.
But it's 24. I don't know, man. Maybe it's that, or it's a different form of positioning and selecting like that.
Oh, the blue letter describes it almost like this abacus type thing, like pebbles used for systematically making decisions, like the, I don't know, numbering system.
Well, that's what it's almost a process of chance, random selection.
Yeah.
That's why it's not like a rhyme or reason to it. Okay. So let's get 25. 25 and 1.
1 Chronicles chapter 25 and verse 1. Moreover, David and the captains of the host separated to the service of the sons of Asaph, and Heman, and Jeduthun, who should prophesy with harps, with psalteries, and with cymbals. And the number of the workmen according to their service was.
So their job was to sit back here and play instruments and prophesy with musical instruments. Read on.
Of the sons of Asaph, Zakur and Joseph, Nethaniah and Asarellah, the sons of Asaph, under the hands of Asaph, which prophesied according to the order of the king
of the king. So Asaph was already doing this for David in the past. So he said, man, you got to train your sons up to touch his work when you pass on. Read on.
Of Jeduthun, the sons of Jeduthun, Gedaliah and Zeri, and Jeshiah, Hashabiah, and Mattatiah, 6 under the hands of their father Jeduthun, who prophesied with harp to give thanks and to praise the Most High.
So some guys specialize in the harp, some prophesied with the cymbals, different instrument they were playing and mastered to create this orchestra. Read on.
Of Haman, the sons of Haman, Bechukiah, and Mattaniah, Uziel, Shebuel, and Jeremoth, Hananiah, Eliathah, Gedaltai, and Ramam, Tiezer, Joshbek, and Jejiah, Malothai, Hothar, and Mahathoth. All these were the sons of Haman, the king's seer in the words of the Most High, to lift up the horn.
They play the horns like Kariah, man. You got some guys that was playing the flutes like Kariah. You got the cymbal guys. You know, all the different guys, the different instruments like that was concentrated for the Most High. It's phenomenal. You had different skilled guys doing different skilled percussion instruments. Okay, read on.
And the Most High gave to Haman 14 sons and 3 daughters.
That's crazy. It's a lot of big family, man. Read on.
All these were under the hands of their father for song in the house of the Most High, with cymbals, psalteries, and harps, for the service of the house of the Most High, according to the king's order to Asaph, Jeduthun, and Haman.
So more than likely they could be, if they're going to be in the house of the Lord, they were probably in the front entry. That front entry space, that was the only place they could be.
So
they couldn't go any further in. If they were going to be in the house of the Lord, because they said they're going to be in the house of the Lord, they could only be in that front petition area. Because nobody, that foyer area, nobody could be, because there were 3 parts to the temple. There was 3 spaces in the middle, or inside. You had that little foyer area, then you had the holy place, and you had the Holy of Holies. You definitely couldn't go in the holy place. And you for damn sure couldn't go in the Holy of Holies. So they were probably singing and playing in that front area.
So
to honor the Most High. Yes, I.
Was the music like constantly playing?
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
When you read about,
because you're going to read. You're going to read.
Okay,
You're going to read that they have their courses too.
They're the hours. They had it perfect.
They had their courses and they had their singing shift, man.
Yeah, you had some singing 12 hours of the day, and then you had another shift that came in.
Yeah,
12
you had
hours
the
of the
shift.
night.
Yeah, there's a lot of song, man. A lot of song, a lot of singing.
As holy as it gets.
It's holy as
It's
hell.
clean in there.
It's clean.
Everything's immaculately
Incense
clean.
is burning.
People are arrested. So
It's
they got
gold.
a whole week. Now like
Your whole job is to do this.
it's
All
not
you
like
gotta
going to
do.
Walmart and you like ask someone to help me like this. I'm like, oh man, never mind. I'll find it on my own. I'll go find the tents wherever the tents.
You mean
are
the
at.
night stalkers
Yeah,
out there?
I'm like, hey, bro, you know
the
what
night
this is
stalkers are unhappy out here.
They're like this. I say, oh, that's cool, bro. I understand, bro. I'm gonna go find it over here.
They're like this.
Yeah. But like they don't want to help you. You can't report them to their boss. Like, I don't care if I get fired.
I'll go to Target. I'll go to Target.
I hate my life. And people are smiling at. People are happy at. There's good food there.
There's good smiling and there's bad smiling.
There's good smiling and bad smiling. That's true. There's good energy at. People are smiling. You know, everybody. You like shiny at. People are shiny at. You know, Israel is really righteous at. They get extra shiny at.
What is this guy
It's
saying?
the truth, right? Yeah. Israel's rich and righteous, they get shiny at. The more righteous you are, the shinier we get at.
That's funny.
That's why Eve used to call it shines at. He was in the spirit at. He started shining at.
I gotta
Glistening.
write that down.
he started glistening at. Everybody's looking good, everybody's smelling good at. Fragrances and myrrhs everywhere. Most high smells there at. You smell good food. The sound is phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Listen, yeah, imagine go to a jazz spot. They're just playing phenomenal, and they have the greatest singers in the world, in the nation.
That's amazing.
And you have different, you have our people singing phenomenal. You have different tribes coming in, sacrificing out. It's smelling good. It sounds good. People are shiny out. They're looking good. Clothes are clean. Everything's immaculate out. Gold everywhere.
Just drawn to this place.
Everything's gold out.
Yeah.
It's like you're in heaven, but it's on earth. And it's all dedication to the Most High. It's the closest thing you can get to heaven, if you could imagine that.
No.
Streets of gold. Everything's gold.
It wasn't streets ago. It wasn't streets.
Yeah, streets of gold. I'm just saying. heaven
You
streets of gold.
gotta be careful, man. You gotta be careful.
They say heaven has streets of gold, right? But this place is all gold, and then the cedar, the wood, is that phenomenal Lebanon. You know how good that smells out?
That smell.
Cedar.
Listen, we cut the brother's house. We cut that little bush down the brother's.
That cedar-
I ain't throwing away
pine
that.
tree.
That smells so good at the little tree out.
Yeah.
It had this red. It had red inside. It smelled like cedar out. It was so good at.
It's pine.
So it's pine.
Yeah.
You smelling pine, frankincense. Everybody's shiny, looking good out. You got not jazz. You got the singers, the music.
Yeah. The
Then you got
ambiance is
sacrifices.
phenomenal out there.
But you feel good. If you wasn't feeling good, you feel good now.
Spine tingling.
The spine thing, like, and then we owned it. It was black owned. It was finally black owned.
Israel's paradise.
He was black owned, man. It was our stuff, man. And it was 24 hours. It had to be phenomenal, bro.
When the sad thing is, when Herod took it over, it wasn't black owned.
That wasn't black. No. That was the gentrification.
Because the problem is, you're gonna see as we go into class the next couple of weeks. Herod made it bigger. He expanded the temple, and it was twice the size of the original temple.
Wow.
And he added different courts and spaces to it. He made it like a stadium.
Yes.
He made it bigger. He made it because the original temple we're gonna go into it was like 3/4 of a football field. It was like 70 yards. 70 yards. That was the original size of it. Herod made it like twice that size.
It was very intimate, and then he just expanded the size.
And then he also made it. He made a court for Gentiles.
Yeah.
He made a space for women and different people out a little further out front. He made it more accessible for different type of people.
He's always pushes inclusion.
Yeah, exactly.
He's always pushing inclusion for everybody to get involved.
But you know what? The Romans helped pay for it.
Yeah. Can't get mad at it.
The Romans helped pay for it. What you gonna say?
Don't do that.
No, we don't like that. No,
Yeah.
listen. The Romans helped flip the bill. They didn't help. They flipped the bill.
Yeah.
What you gonna say? Anyway.
I was gonna say it had to be a wonder of the world though. They said there's 8 wonders of the world out.
Well,
Hanging guards,
at the time, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
At the time, it was phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. So, okay, so let's keep going now.
First Chronicles chapter 25 and verse 7. So the number of them with their brethren that were instructed in the songs of the Most High,
So they would sing in a rotation of songs with different instruments. Read on.
even all that were cunning, was 284
288 singers.
Wow. Sounds so good.
288 singers. They
Even
was
when you go to
hitting the
Judite
notes.
church, you know.
That was why I said some Luther energy. They had some
my
pure quality singing.
Even though you know that the doctrine is not BS, the Jerry curls is not even real. It's all fake Jerry curl energy. But the music's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You feel spiritual.
Yeah. So let's keep going.
And they cast lots,
Yeah.
ward against ward, as well the small as the great, the teacher as the scholar.
So they sat back here and obviously set up teachers and scholars. Well, he said, wait. And they cast lots, ward against ward. I would imagine group against group.
Yeah.
Group like cymbals, psalteries, and harps. They were all grouped together. Okay? So you can keep creating an orchestra. So it was different sets of orchestras and different teams of orchestras that operated week to week.
It's that group.
You can't just have a psalteries on for 1 week, cymbals the next week, and horns the next week. You had to have the combination rotations.
Yeah.
I don't, whatever numbers of horns, whatever numbers of psalteries, whatever numbers of whatever, had to keep in rotation.
And that would mean this also. And they say that classical music, of course, they said the medieval time period, the Baroque time period, that when we ruled Europe, that we created classical music, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we know that all the rulership of our nation was from King David, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta think about this. If David had this temple that had this phenomenal music in it, and then we got kicked out of Israel, and we spread throughout Europe, and we ruled Europe eventually, and we had classical music going, then what was the music we had in the temple?
Mm-hmm.
We had to have structured music in the temple. We had structure. We were just playing random sounds out.
Okay.
We had structured music. We had structured songs. The Psalms of David, when you read the details, it talks about how this is the words, but he wants these instruments to. This is the instruments he wants to be played with Asaph.
Okay.
So it was structured. It wasn't just random music, freestyling, random playing. Everything was structured or organized. Everybody cared. So it had to be phenomenal.
So let's keep going. Verse 9.
Son. Now the first lot came forth for Asaph to Joseph, the second Gedaliah, who was with his brethren, and sons were 12. The third to Zakur, his sons and his brethren were 12.
It says lot too. I got the lot in the Ungers.
Okay.
Just reading. It says lot. It says cast. It says a custom of deciding doubtful questions by lot is one of great extent and high antiquity, recommending itself as a sort of appeal to the Almighty, secure from all influence of passion or bias. So, and this is a sort of divination employed by the gods themselves. Bottom line, this is.
We'll leave it up to the Most High to decide how we're going to sit
let
back
the
and
Most
set
High
up
pick
how we're going to organize the structure of these groups.
Among the Jews, also the use of lots with a religious intention, direct or indirect, prevailed extensively. So once again, it's just okay. We don't know. I don't want to pick favorites. Let's just cast lots. Now we have the structure. Now it's not based on what I want or what you want.
Or you like this family more than this.
Yeah.
Family.
Exactly, because it kills favoritism.
Yep.
No respect for person.
Yep. Yeah.
And also too, one more thing, by having rotations of different families and rotations of different people, that means it was about the system. One was about one person liked.
Yeah.
Because we're all submitting to a system.
Well, you couldn't be partial to Ithamar or Eleazar's family line. It was just however the Most High wanted it to be.
This is the structure. This is the system. Now it's our job to obey. It's no different than now. This is the structure. This is the system. It's our job to conform and obey the system.
And whoever
That
rises to
works
the
for
top, that's the one. But yeah,
It's about the system. And this is just Israel with the system.
Yep.
So eliminating nepotism.
Yep.
You can't even compare this to anything today, can you really? This type of scale, this grand scale that what we're reading, that's what I'm getting out of it.
Well, amongst our people, no.
And the unity that has to be.
But listen, amongst our people, no. Maybe on a governmental level, yeah. But their motivation is money. Their motivation is power. Their motivation is rank.
The idols.
Their
You know what I mean?
downfall. So that's
I'm
why I
just
say
trying to show you
can't
the
even
sustaining
compare.
of the.
God.
Yeah, just the operation of the system it's been
phenomenal.
duplicated. But for the Most High, no.
Our people today got the BET Awards, man.
Yeah, that's as close as it's gonna get.
That's about it right there, bro.
That's it.
That's what they practice on
Yeah,
performances for?
That's it. Man.
That's kind.
Or the Essence Festival.
Source,
Yeah.
Source
You
Awards.
know, Source Award.
South by Southwest.
Yeah, that's about as good as it get. But we had this on a regular basis, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. Well, let's keep going.
Come. First Chronicles chapter 25 and verse 10. The third to Zakur, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The fourth, Azri, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The fifth, to Nethaniah, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12.
So I would imagine 12 is the magic number.
Yeah.
They just ran 12 times 24 equals 288. There you go. That's how they operate the system. They had 12 groups of singers. 24 groups of 12. So 12 singers were in each group, in each course.
I played in an orchestra before. Like,
Mhm.
Just like a constant. You're practicing every day.
Oh, yeah.
It's rehearsal.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a lot of
grueling.
fun.
It's been said back in Southern football, like in the SWAC, not even the SWAC, with the Southern University and what do you call it, award? Southern University and what are those black colleges?
HBCUs?
Yeah, they say that the bands work harder than the football team, and that's a fact. These guys work hard as hell to sit back here and operate and play the band music and keep the momentum and pace.
You can't have a
all the
show.
movements and all. Exactly. You can't be messy. You got to be operating, moving,
Time.
still playing the music, and still marching and moving and operating in sync. So I get it. So they were in groups of 12 to perform these instruments. Read on.
Verse 13. The sixth to Bechukiah, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The seventh to Jesharelah, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The eighth to Jeshua, Jeshiah, he and his sons and his brethren were 12. The ninth to Mattaniah, he and his sons and his brethren were 12. The 10th to Shimei, he and his sons and his brethren were 12.
I'm imagining they kept them in families. I don't know how you were able to hit each family at 12, but they said family and brethren. So they would group them up in 12, family and people that were close to them. Read on.
Verse 18. The 11th to Azariel, he and his sons and his brethren were 12.
Mm-hmm.
The 12th to Hashabiah, he and his sons and his brethren were 12. The 13th to Shubael, he and his sons and his brethren were 12. The 14th to Mattathiah, he and his sons and his brethren were 12. The 15th to Jeremoth, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 16th to Hananiah, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 17th to Josh Bekashah, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 18th to Hananiah, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 19th to Malothai, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 20th to Eliathah, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 21st to Hathir, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 22nd to Galthai, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 23rd to Mahaziah, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. The 24th to Roman, Tiezer, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12.
I'm gonna get you a breather, man. Next man up. That's what I'm listen. It's all good. Nagaha, I need you, bro. No, Adam, you good?
These children were born with a purpose, man. Right?
Yeah.
Got it.
But I'm enjoying seeing that you get to see Israel's culture at different time periods. That's what the benefit of these Sabbath classes.
Yeah.
This is a different time periods.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Come on.
Adam Shah Shabbatah, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yasharala.
Adam, Shaw Shabbatah, Ban Yahawada, Ban Yashala. I'm much of bro. Yahawah Hashem Yashabbatah.
Yahaba Shem Yashabrakatam.
A lot of blood got shed. Let's play them horns out.
Yeah, a lot of sacrifices. Listen, that had to be shed. Because if I'm not mistaken, read verse 20, chapter 25 and 1 real quick. Yeah, I'm going to read it. It says, moreover, David and the captain of the host separated to the service of the sons of Esau. So they pulled these guys off the army out. They had to pull them off the captain of the host is the army guys.
Wow.
They pulled these guys off the war, off fighting to sing.
That's a good thing, though.
Huh? Yeah, because it's peacetime now.
Yeah.
You know, they do have
You know, nations fall apart.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you go.
No, in the military, they do have a different section. They literally have people who, you know, they get deployed, but their primary AFSC or whatever is to play the band, for the music and all that.
And also, too, idleness teaches much what?
Wickedness.
So if you ain't no more wars going on, you sit here just to yourself, what happens? We get negative.
Yeah.
We've proven that as a nation. We've proven that beyond a shadow of a doubt. So to redirect our energies towards construction, to redirect our energies towards the pleasure of the Most High, and emphasizing the Father, and really giving our spirit to Him on a different caliber versus the battlefield. That's still where it shows the Most High requires engagement. So in our personal time, when we have nothing going on, we still have to find ways to funnel our focus to the Father. When camp is over, quote unquote, when class is over, quote unquote, when the shift is over, quote unquote, we still have to find a way to make the Most High the focal point of our energy, or we go off.
Yeah. Also, you got some people that want to just be one-dimensional and say, my job is to sing and praise the Most High, and that's all my gift is.
Yeah.
So my gift is just singing, rapping, dancing, but my job is not to go to war. But you just showed here that you had multiple responsibilities.
Yeah.
You were needed for war, then you went to war. And it just wasn't about exploiting your particular talent.
That's
You had to fight, then you had to come back and sing. So you had many jobs. It wasn't just I can choose my job and that's all I'm gonna do.
America's Got Talent.
America's Got Talent.
No, listen, bro. You gotta fight out.
Yeah.
You gotta put your war in first. When there's peacetime, these guys were lucky enough to sit back and get pulled off and do this other aspect of the job. Because this is nation building. This is important. To specify people is important after the building and the foundation of the work is done.
Go.
Then you can nation build. Then you can sit back here and place people in different responsibilities after the hard work is done. Okay. 26 and 1, sir.
First Chronicles 26 and 1. Concerning the divisions of the porters.
These are the door guys. You guys keeping the doors bottled in the mug, man, shiny.
Yeah,
you know?
Everybody.
These guys keeping everybody cleaning out. Come on, read on.
Good energy in there.
Of the Korites was Meshelemiah, the son of Korah, of the sons of Asaph. And the sons of Meshelemiah were Zechariah the firstborn, Jediel the second, Zebediah the third, and Jethniel the fourth. Elam the fifth, Jehohanan the sixth, Eloniah the seventh. Moreover, the sons of Obedom were Shemaiah the firstborn, Jehozabad the second, Joel the third, and Sakar the fourth, and Nathaniel the fifth, Amiel the sixth, Issachar the seventh, Pulathai the eighth, for the Most High blessed him. Also unto Shemaiah his sons were sons born, that ruled throughout the house of their father, for they were mighty men of valor. The sons of Shemaiah, Othni, and Raphael, and Adeb, Elzabad, whose brethren were strong men, Elihu and Shemakiah. All these of the sons of Obedom, they are their sons and their brethren, able men for strength for the service, were 62 of Obadam. And Meshlemiah had sons and brethren, strong men, 18. Also Hosea of the children of Merari had sons. Simri the chief, for though he was not the firstborn, yet his father made him the chief. Milchi the second, Tebaliah the third, Zechariah the fourth. All the sons and brethren of Hosea were 13. Among these were the divisions of the porters, even among the chief men, having wards one against another, to minister in the house of the Most High. And they cast lots, as well the small as the great, according to the house of their fathers, for every gate. And the lot eastward fell to Shemaiah, then to Zechariah his son, a wise counselor.
So these guys were porters of the gates of the actual temple. So they were east gates, different wings around the temple that had to be guarded and protected. Okay. Continue.
They cast lots, and his lot came out northward, to Obadam southward, and to his sons the house of Asapum. To Shuppam and Hosea the lot came forth north Salakia. To Sepum and Hosea the lot came forth westward.
So these guys were probably like security.
Yeah, because
They were security. They were SPs out.
if you look at the concordance, it says gatekeepers, and you break down the word, they're literally at the points of security.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's security. There's security for the guarding the outsides and probably the interior. People just can't go into the into the Levites' rooms too.
Territories, yeah.
Those cells.
Watch
Watching on the outside and probably an interior guard. Okay. Read on.
With the gate Shalaketh by the causeway of the going up, ward against ward. Eastward were 6 Levites, northward 4 a day, southward 4 a day, and toward Aspum 2 and 2. At Parbar westward 4 at the causeway and 2 at Parbar. These are the divisions of the porters among the sons of Korah, and among the sons of Merari. And
I'm not sure if this is the same Korah that had issues or was standing against Moses during, because he was a man of honor and reputation back in those days, and he was of the I think he was Kohath lineage also. But I'm not sure if this is Korah. That Korah is the Korah we're talking about in Exodus or Numbers, but I'm not sure. But let's keep going.
In verse 20. And of the Levites, Ahijah was over the treasurers of the house of the Most High.
So now he was over the treasures. I mean, that guy was over the protection of the treasures on the backside of the
Is this
temple.
guardian or is this accountant?
No, these are porters. When we was going over, they're gatekeepers or they're really guards.
Okay.
They're really security. Yeah, he had mentioned it too. That they're going. He went to some
the
concordance and was talking about how they were guards. But you can tell when he was reading how it was eastward, westward. They were just guarding position points. Now this guy, Ahijah, is over the guarding of the treasure place, which was in the back. We had showed you on the map. There was the back area where the priestess area was and the treasure areas.
I want to say one thing too. Also, I don't think it mentions it, but it talks about how Israel always kept records, and the priesthood kept records, and they've had records per generation. Israel always had maintained records about who begat who was married to who, the genealogies. So this place it kept the nation uniform. Everything was uniform. We had records, we had singers, we had porters, we had security system, we had high priest, we had shifts. This is the focal point. Once again, this is the heartbeat of the nation. It's what kept the nation in order.
And then this was able to get done in peacetime.
So what it shows is that systems are going to be herky-jerky until there's peace.
Yeah.
People don't get that. You can only create a perfect system in a time of peace in your own land.
Yeah.
When things are in your own land and you have perfect peace and you've killed all your enemies and adversaries, then you can perfect the system to this degree. But until then, the system's going to be adaptive to the society, to the prices of expenses, to the calibers of men you have, to the time period and to the needs of the body. This is why a camp is so uncomfortable, because we're in a constant adaptive state, because we're not in our own land, which is the truth, and we're not in a time of peace, which is the truth.
Yeah.
So I don't people complain about camps this, camp that, and this camp's not perfect, this camp's not perfect. I see flaws. You're gonna see flaws because you're in captivity. You're gonna see flaws because there's financial need, and there's need for finances. You're gonna see flaws because there's only 24 hours in a day, and there's only so many men that carry the labor and carry the burden, and these men have to rest also. So something has different aspects partially in the camp. It shouldn't, but different aspects in the camp partially have to lack. So the question is, are you mature enough to understand the functionality of a body? Or are you waiting to be in King David's time period when Solomon took the coronation and all the Philistines were dead, we were in our own land? We're not in that condition. So you have to have maturity when it comes to understanding the evolution of a camp. A camp should always be evolving and becoming greater in time. So this is a growing process. It's like a baby takes 9 months and has to keep growing until its old age. The same thing with a camp. A camp should be also in the process of maturation and improvement and constant improvement. Okay, that's cool.
Let's keep going.
Verse 20, latter half. And over the treasures of the dedicated things, as concerning the sons of Ladan, the sons of the Gershonite, Ladan, chief fathers, even of Ladan, the Gershonite, were Jehiel. The sons of Jehiel, Zatan and Joel, his brother, which were over the treasures of the house of the Most High.
So I guess the Gershonite family was over the treasures and over security, I would imagine. I guess Gershon's over security. But it says Merari in some of them too, so I'm not sure. Maybe they just picked them from different tribes. Keep going.
Of the Amramites, and the Israelites, and the Hebronites, and the Uzzielites.
So Ammonites are pretty much the sons of Moses. Amramites are sons of Moses because Aaron was the son of Amram also, but they're dealing with the straight priesthood. So Moses' sons are this porters and security also. Okay, read on.
And Shebuel, the son of Gershom, the son of Moses, was ruler of the treasures.
There you go. See, because son of Gershom, son of Moses, he was an Amorite. He was an Amramite. Okay, so he was a ruler. He was the head of the treasures and the maintenance and the protection of the treasure areas, of the security of it. Read on.
And his brethren by Eleazar, Rehabiah his son, and Jeshiah his son, and Joram his son, and Zechari his son, and Shelomith his son. Which Shelomith and his brethren were over all the treasures of the dedicated things, which David the king and the chief fathers, the captains over thousands and hundreds, and the captains of the host had dedicated. Out of the spoils won in battles did they dedicate to maintain the house of the Most High. And all that Samuel the seer, and Saul the son of Kish, and Abner the son of Ner, and Joab the son of Zeruiah had dedicated.
All their victories and their spoils of war that was dedicated to the temple, they kept it. And they secured it. And they made sure nothing happened to it. Read on.
And whosoever had dedicated anything, it was under the hand of Shelomith and of his brethren. Of the Israelites, and Cheniah and his sons were for the outward business over Israel, for officers and judges. And of the Hebronites, Hashabiah and his brethren, men of valor, 1,700, were officers among them of Israel on this side Jordan westward in all the business of the Most High, and in the service of the king. Among the Hebronites was Jerajoth the chief, even among the Hebronites, according to the generations of his fathers.
Wait, hold on. Read verse 30 again.
Verse 30. And of the Hebronites.
So Hebronites, that's Judites. Okay, because that was where David was king, was announced king initially, was in Hebron. So obviously this security sector just wasn't Levi. Okay. And I would imagine these singers just wasn't Levi either. Because if Asaph was separated from the captain of the host, they might not all be Levi either. I can't prove it, but it doesn't seem, because Levi can't go to war anyway. So I don't know why the captain of the host would separate Asaph unless he was part of the army. Okay, So they couldn't be just Levi, because Levi wasn't part of the army anyway. They weren't even counted as part of the army from the beginning. So now we got these Hebronites who were men of valor, and they were also part of the security detail also. Okay? It was a lot of Levites, but if there's some Hebronites there, that means there were some Israelites who weren't Levi that was also dealing with the security.
You know, it shows before they got their specific job titles, as they fell into the kingdom, they were soldiers first. And that's something that any nation needs. You need soldiers first. You need somebody that can know how to fight and pick up a sword.
Especially when you're securing the temple.
Right. We can worry about the specifics of your job.
We can flute all them day long. Yeah. You gotta be able to sit back and wield a sword and flute.
Yeah, then flute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So keep going.
You want 30 from the top or 31 last
31. This is the top of 31.
Top of 31. Among the Hebronites was Jerijah, the chief, even among the Hebronites, according to the generations of his fathers. In the 40th year of the reign of David, they were sought for.
So in the last year of David's reign, they were collecting all these guys and setting up all these people for positions for the temple. Okay, he did this in his last time. David was still organizing things for the kingdom. These are the
whole life was
that's my point. And this is what's not talked about a lot, is how he did all this work in preparation so that the next generation can be stable, can be settled.
It also shows how his life mirrored Samuel's life. David followed. He wasn't just being himself. He followed the tradition and the mindset of Samuel. Samuel, his whole life from his youth to his old age, was given to the Father. So David followed that same premise.
Keep going.
31 latter half. And there were found among them mighty men of valor at Jazer of Gilead. And his brethren, men of valor, were 2,700 chief fathers.
Well, where are we at?
32.
Okay, cool.
And his brethren, men of valor, were 2,700 chief fathers, whom King David made rulers over the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh, for every matter pertaining to the Most High, and affairs of the king.
Okay, let's get 27 and 1.
Verse 27.
Matter of fact, let's go to Josephus real quick and get book 7. Book 7, chapter 14, paragraph 8.
Okay. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
After this, he parted the entire army into 12 parts, with their leaders and captains of hundreds and commanders.
So he sat back here and set up the army. He parted the entire army into 12 parts. Read on.
Now every part had 24,000, which were ordered to wait on Solomon by 30 days at a time.
That's phenomenal. He even sat back here and had rotating military deployments. That was at at Solomon's beckoning call at any time. That's phenomenal. So he had 24,000 men that had to do a rotation for Solomon. For how long? It was 30 days, right?
Kind
of. For 1 month, these army guys had to sit back here and move to Jerusalem and hold it down, and to secure Solomon, and also to pretty much secure the temple area, because Solomon lived slightly below where the temple was. Then you had the city of David. The city of David was at the top of the base of the city. Then you had Solomon lived right above that. Matter of fact, an old picture of Jerusalem. So this is the city of David right here. He lived here. Solomon ended up living up here somewhere, or here somewhere. Okay. Then you had the temple. Okay. I think where Solomon was here. But there's something to be conscious of. And these 24,000 soldiers was making their rotations down into Jerusalem to keep an eye and protect Solomon. Yes, sir.
So even in peacetime, we maintain a sense of readiness.
Exactly.
Not just
so that they had battalions. Because don't forget, before this, there was no rhyme or reason or system. The funny thing is this: I can't read before this that there was actually a systematic army before. Because before this, people were just sitting back here farming, and when it was time to go to war, you got the call.
Ready to go.
Get off your you know what, and get out here and fight. Or Saul's going to chop your animals up. Remember he sat back?
Yeah.
He just sat back and hacked 2 oxen in pieces and sent an arm and a leg and a panza.
It's gonna happen.
Different parts of the city, and says, if you don't fight for us now, this will happen to your oxen. Remember that? That was pretty much how the army was set up. There was not really an organized army until now. So not only did he organize the priest, he organized the priest rotations, he organized how they were going to operate in the temple, he organized the security detail for the temple. Now he's organizing army rotations and getting them trained. They weren't just sitting on their butts out here, their keisters out here in Jerusalem. They were going through military exercises. They were getting trained up.
Drilling.
It was some Camp Bullet
And
stuff.
they say he also set up captains of hundreds and commanders. So he set up leaders, men of rank. He established ranks, systems among them.
In all these different 24,000 men battalions or regiments. Okay? So he's setting up a rotating army that's always ready to go when needed, when called upon. This is definitely needed. It can't just be, okay, Joab, let's go back and get these guys out. You can't just be this Joab, this leading armies every 5 seconds. Now you're establishing structure.
Contingency.
Yep. Contingency plans and just rotating men so they can stay potent. Rotating them in rotations of 12. 30 days in a month, you got 12. You have 12 groupings.
What's the army if they're out of shape?
Exactly. Exactly.
You got to keep them sharp.
Okay.
Keep them trained up.
So let's keep going.
From the first day to the last, with the captains of thousands and captains of hundreds. He also set rulers over every part, such as he knew to be good and righteous men. He set others also to take charge of the treasuries, and of the villages, and of the fields, and of the beasts, whose names I do not think it necessary to mention. When David had ordered all these officers after the manner before mentioned, he called the rulers of the Hebrews, and their heads of tribes, and the officers over the several divisions, and those that were appointed over every work, and every possession, and standing upon a high pulpit, he said to the multitude as follows: My brethren and my people, I would have you know that I intended to build a house for the Most High.
This is what I was mentioning before when he brought all the people together. He talked about it in 1 Chronicles 23, if I'm not mistaken, is where he sat back here and started. It was 23:2, where he gathered together all the princes of Israel, all the priests, and the Levites. So as he was gathering them all together, he established the responsibility of the Levites. He established the responsibilities of all the different tribes. He established captains and leaders, military captains, leaders of all the tribes. He even talked about that in 1 Chronicles 26 and 32, where he sat back here and got the chief men of Reuben, chief men of Gad, to sit back here and have military captains over all these tribes. Then it gets more specific in 27, how he starts to establish these battalions and gets 24,000 men crews that rotate in and out of Jerusalem to get that proper training. And when he sends them back out, they're ready to defend their homeland also. But they can be near their families, but you're getting rotated in, rotated out, rotated in, rotated out. Now you're establishing a proper military. So now he's talking to the people and he's reminding them, hey, I wanted to build a house for the Lord, but my hands were too bloody. Most High didn't allow me to do this. But if I can't do it, I can at least set everything up. Read on.
And prepared a large quantity of gold, and 100,000 talents of silver. But the Most High prohibited me by the prophet Nathan, because of the wars I had on your account, and because my right hand was polluted with the slaughter of our enemies.
That's so poetic. My right hand was polluted with the slaughter of my enemies. That's like a Viking speech or something like that. This right hand, it was polluted with the slaughter of the Philistines.
Polluted with the slaughter of my enemies.
And the Syrians and the Amorites. They died, they fell by my hand.
What are your allegiances like?
Yes, exactly. That's awesome, man. Keep going,
But he commanded that my son, who was to succeed me in the kingdom, should build a temple for him. Now therefore, since you know that of the 12 sons whom Jacob our forefather had, Judah was appointed to be king, and that I was preferred before my 6 brethren, and received the government from the Most High, and that none of them were uneasy at it, so did I also desire that my sons be not seditious one against another. Now Solomon has received the kingdom, but to bear him cheerfully for their Lord, as knowing that the Most High hath chosen him. For it is not a grievous thing to obey even a foreigner as a ruler. For if it be the Most High's will, but it is fit to rejoice when a brother hath obtained that dignity.
He's explaining it, but his brother Amnon, not Amnon, but what was his name? Adonijah. You're going to read, Adonijah was hating that. He was angry that the Most High chose Solomon over him. And he was really frustrated. David's like, it shouldn't be like that. If your brother was chosen, embrace him. Don't hate on him. You know? So he's obviously talking to the people, and he's throwing daggers at his sons who was hating that. You wouldn't have to say this if your sons weren't hating that.
Yeah.
But there was hate from his sons, and he's explaining it because of that. Read on.
Since the rest partake of it with him, and I pray that the promises of the Most High may be fulfilled, and that this happiness which he hath promised to be bestowed upon King Solomon over all the country may continue therein for all time to come. And these promises, O son, will be firm, and come to a happy end, if thou showest thyself to be a religious and a righteous man, and an observer of the laws of thy country. But if not, expect adversity upon thy disobedience to them.
He said, adversity is going to come when you're disobedient. Just know it's coming if you don't stay in line. But let's keep going.
Now when the king...
No. Let's go back in the Chronicles. We're gonna read in Chronicles what's got to be read. And then when we get to 28, we'll go into 9 and 10. Yeah, let's go 1 Chronicles 1 and 27.
Okay. 1 Chronicles 27 and 1.
Yeah.
Now the children of Israel after their number, to wit, the chief fathers and captains of thousands and hundreds, and their officers that served the king in any matter of the courses, which came in and went out month by month throughout all the months of the year, of every course were 20 and 4,000.
It's still that course. It's still that it's your duty. The army had to give up a month. The Levitical priests had to give up 8 days or a week, a full cycle of a week, Sabbath to Sabbath. I guess that makes sense, because if it's Sabbath to Sabbath, then the next crew can start the day after the Sabbath, so the pressure ain't on as much the day after the Sabbath. So that makes sense. So he's setting up their courses and their rotations and their training. Read on.
Verse 2. Over the first course for the first month was Jeshobeam, the son of Zebdiel, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. Of the children of Perez was the chief of all captains of the host for the first month.
So also he's training captains and leaders and teaching these individual guys to be leaders over battalions. So whether it's Perez, got to be some, no, I'm not going to say it. Perez or Jashobeam, they were being trained to be over 24,000 men. Read on.
And over the course of the second month was Dodai and Aphathite, and of his course was Michaloth, also the ruler, and in his course likewise were 20 and 4,000. The third captain of the host for the third month was Benaiah, the son of Joadiah, a chief priest, and in his course were 20 and 4,000.
So Benaiah had the third course, and he was the captain of the host in general. He was the captain of all the armies. Okay, continue.
This is that Benaiah who was mighty among the 30, and above the 30, and in his course was Amazabah, his son. The fourth captain for the fourth month was Ashiel, the brother of Joab, and Zebediah, his sons after him, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. The fifth captain for the fifth month was Shema.
Wait. Read verse 7 again.
Verse 7. The fourth captain for the fourth month was Ashiel, the brother of Joab, and Zebediah, his son after him, and in his course were 20 and 4,000.
Asahel died. early.
Maybe it was his namesake.
Maybe it's a different. I don't know, but Asahel died by Abner,
Maybe his son.
but it's his brother Joab. Asahel he was a brother of Joab, but Asahel died when David was still
swift of feet.
Yep, and he was one that died like during the time of Abner. So I guess it's still talking about the captains were broken down by sons and family. It just said, and Zebediah his son after him, and his course were 24,000 men. So I would have maybe what it's saying is the family line of Joab. They ran a group of men that they had to lead. Because even in verse 6 it had said Benaiah, who was mighty among the 30. No matter of fact, yeah, and in his course was Ammizabad his son. So probably Ammizabad, the son of Benaiah, was the one who ran the 24,000 under Benaiah's tutelage, under his training. That makes more sense. And maybe, let me see. Maybe, okay, I get verse 7. Read verse 7 from the top.
The fourth captain for the 4th month was Ashiel, the brother of Joab, and Zebediah, his son after him.
So Zebediah was the son of Asahel that died. And he was over that a battalion of 24,000 men. It wasn't Joab, had nothing to do with it. But Asahel was the father of Zebediah. But Asahel died, obviously. So he was obviously a captain in ranks.
After his tradition?
After his family line, exactly. Because all these breakdowns of people, they're family lines that are given these responsibilities.
That makes sense.
So Zebediah was the son of Asahel?
Yes. So, and just like Ammizabad was the son of Benaiah, and these were a family of what? Of warriors. It's like you had families of priests, you had families of captains, you had families of warriors, families of enforcers of the way. You had families of porters, families of security men, you had families of singers. Mm-hmm. You had families of responsibilities and chores that when you was born, you was going to be a warrior. I don't give a shit if you want to be an artist. Put them colors. You better put them colors in the back and grab a sword first.
Yeah.
He's a Jackson. Joe Jackson tell you what to do.
Exactly. So you gonna sing because you a Jackson. Jackson's perform.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Jackson's perform. We gonna do this. This is what we gonna. This is what Jackson's doing. But it's telling you the family lines of how things go, man. So it makes a lot of sense. I just kind of got stuck with the Asahel part. I was like, man, this dude isn't living no more. But let's keep going.
Verse 8.
Yeah, you want to circle the horse in full gallop. Read on.
Verse 8. The 5th captain for the 5th month was Shemoth, the Israelite, and in his course were 24,000. The 6th captain for the 6th month was Ira, the son of Ikesh.
If I'm not Ira was he was one of the 32, one of the 30 mighty men. I remember that Tekoite. He was one of the mighty men. Read on.
Verse 9. The 6th captain for the 6th month was Ira, the son of Ikesh, the Tekoite, and in his course were 24,000.
All the sons of these mighty men, these guys took over these scenarios. Read on.
The 7th captain for the 7th month was Helez, the Pelonite, of the children of Ephraim.
I remember him too. He was. If we go back into these the mighty men breakdown and if I'm not mistaken, at the end of Samuel, you'll see a lot of these names being reestablished. I think it was 2 Samuel chapter 22, 23. Yeah, it is. It's it was actually 2 Samuel 23, and it tells you Ira, the son of Akish, the Tekoite. Some of these names are already going to be switched over here because they were just potent guys, and their sons were obviously potent like them. But let's keep going in verse 10.
Verse 10.
I think that's where you are. 27, 1 Chronicles, 27 and 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 10.
Yeah.
The 7th captain for the 7th month was Helez, the Pelonite,
Mhm.
Of the children of Ephraim, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. The eighth captain for the 8th month was Sabbath, the Hushathite.
Yep.
The Hushathite of the Zerites, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. The 9th captain for the 9th month was Abizir, the Anethanite of the Benjamites, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. The 10th captain for the 10th month was Marai, the Netophaite of the Zerites, and in his course were 20 and 4,000.
That guy, Mahari, the Netophaite, he was in verse 28 in 2 Samuel 23. He was obviously one of the 30 mighty men. Continue.
The 11th captain for the 11th month was Benaiah, the Parathonite
Mm-hmm.
of the children of Ephraim, and in his course were 20 and
If
4,000.
I'm not mistaken, there were two Benaiahs that were referred to as mighty men, because I've heard of that name before. The Pirathite. I think he was in that. Yeah, it is Benaiah the Pirathite. Yeah, he was a mighty man also. Read on.
The 12th captain for the 12th month was Hildai, the Netophathite of Atheno, and in his course were 20 and 4,000. Furthermore, over the tribes of Israel, the ruler of the Reubenites was Eleazar, the son of Zechri. Of the Simonites, Shephatiah, the son of Makkah. Of the Levites, Hashbaiah, the son of Kamul.
Now we're dealing with the princes of each tribe. Because don't forget, at this same time, David was sitting back here and talking to all the princes and letting all the princes know, listen, David's the next man in charge. Look after him like you looked at, I'm sorry. Solomon's the next man in charge. Look after Solomon like you looked after me. This was how David was unifying all the families, all the princes and leaders of each tribe to be up under Solomon and work with. Okay? Read on.
Of the Levites, Hashbaiah, the son of Kamul. Of the Aaronites, Zadok.
Zadok.
Zadok. Of Judah, Eliu, one of the brethren of David. Of Issachar, Omri, the son of Michael. Of Zebulun, Ishmael, the son of Obadiah. Of Naphtali, Jeremoth, the son of Azriel. Of the children of Ephraim, Hosea, the son of Azazel. Of the tribe of Manasseh, Joel, the son of Pedaiah. Of the half-tribe of Manasseh in Gilead, Edu, the son of Zechariah. Of Benjamin, Jasiel, the son of Abner. Of Dan, Azariel, the son of Jeroam. These were the princes of the tribes of Israel. But David took not the number of them from 20 years old and under, because the Most High had said he would increase Israel like the stars of the heavens.
And also he knew not to do it again because he just got stung on that a little while ago. So he didn't do a number from 20 and under. He didn't even do the number from 20 and under even in the past. He did a number from 20 and up. Okay. So he didn't sit back and do a number and count all the tribes. No, yeah, exactly. Even the census that was done, he went from 20 and up. So he's saying he didn't do a count from 20 and down. Okay, read on.
Joab, the son of Zeruiah, began to number, but he finished not, because there fell wrath for it against Israel. Neither was the number put in the account of the chronicles of King David.
God.
And over the king's treasures was Asmaveth, the son of Adil, and over the storehouses in the fields, in the cities, and in the villages, and in the castles, was Jehonathan, the son of Uzziah.
Mm-hmm.
And over them that did the work of the field for the tillage of the ground was Ezri, the son of Chello.
So he had men over the storehouses and the fields, in the cities and the villages. They had inventory of all their supplies.
So yeah, logistics.
God. Mm-hmm. Read on.
And over the vineyards was Shimei, the Ramathite, over the increase of the vineyards. For the wine cellars was Zabdi, the Shiphamite.
Somebody was over the drink too, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Inventory.
We had to make sure how many cases of wine is not bottles. How many cases?
Is that new wine ready?
Exactly. What's on stock at?
Yeah.
I want that red wine. I want that Cabernet Sauvignon. How many Cabernet Sauvignons is left?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work too.
We need more grape presses.
Step on them faster.
Steppers, man. We need more steppers.
I'm sorry, what you gonna say?
That's a lot of work too because maintaining the storage facility.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta look out for rats.
Yeah.
And pests,
Yeah.
and all that.
Done.
Just make sure
Yeah, God.
And listen, this might not be the most exciting of the chapters of readings we do, but it's still important.
It shows that he was a masterful organizer. And that in order to have anything with a multitude of people working together in a system, it must be organized.
John?
And everybody has to have a role and a job and a duty to play.
Yep.
Because if not, then it's chaos. There's confusion. Then when you have this confusion and chaos, then the work starts to slack and the progress of the nation starts to slack. And that's when you start seeing infighting and you start seeing a breakdown. And this is with any structure. Matter of fact, if you read this real quick, let's go to Matthew chapter 25. Is it Matthew 12? Hold on, let me get it real quick. It says Satan cast out Satan. Yeah, it's Matthew chapter 12. Start at verse 25.
Matthew 12 and 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation.
He says, no matter what kingdom that you have, any kingdom that's divided against itself is brought to what?
Desolation.
It's brought to desolation. So he's showing you that no matter what kingdom you establish, household, he starts with the kingdom first to show the grand scale of a nation. A nation that's not unified is brought to what?
Desolation.
When you look at the history of Rome as a nation, as a nation of people in power over the world for as long as they've been in power, many researchers have done extensive research in detail about what caused the fall of Rome. And they've kind of narrowed it down to like 5 major quantifiable things that caused Rome to fall. Because Rome was at its height, Rome was wealthy, they had power, they had a military, they had strategically taken over all lands. They had every country under their order, except for a few. But when you look at why did they fall, they said it came down to about 5 major things. Number one was that the Senate was not in line with the Caesars. The Caesars and the Senate was at each other's necks. A lot of times the Caesars, depending on who they were, if it was Nero or Caligula, they would often put the senators to death because the senators had the money. They were your aristocrats who had the wealth and the power. So if they didn't see eye to eye with the Caesar, then the Caesars sometimes would put the senators to death, or sometimes the senators will come together with the military and put the Caesar to death. So that was number one. Number two was the educational system of Rome had started to collapse. Rome is where we get the elementary school, middle school, and then you go on to become a an internship under a master like a blacksmith, or you become like this intern where you go apprentice. Exactly, that's what I was looking for. You become this apprentice. But when you look at elementary school, middle school, that system of education was created by the Romans. They had and once a child reached about 16 to 18 years old, then they would go to an apprenticeship under a master, which you could say for us it would be on a collegiate level. But when you look at the system of Rome, their educational system, they weren't educating the people. They weren't educating the people. The people started only becoming laborers. They were only starting, instead of having Roman citizens becoming individuals of property, of ownership, of actual thinkers. They cared more so about the Roman citizens being laborers and only workers, not so much being free thinkers. They're just the working class. So when you look at even today, with our nation, the heads of state are not in agreement. Even today, when you look at our nation, we're like 27th in education. You know, it's more so about you working to get a job, and you're only working you're only classified as a worker, or we only quantify the success of the nation by how many people get jobs, how many jobs are available. You know, we need new jobs, so that's what the nation pushes. That's what they were pushing in Rome, new jobs. So when you got this separation of education, when the citizens themselves are not being educated properly, you created a working class society, not an independent thinking class society. Then you had the issues between the Senate and the Caesars. You got like the president and the House and the Congress today at odds with each other. Then you had Rome fell also because the military weren't in agreement. The legions started fighting each other. They weren't on the same page. The Roman legions started having issues when there was fallouts coming against the country. You look at the Capitol riots, how they damn near try to overthrow the government. Then you look at there was one more comprehensive study that was done to show the fall of Rome. It was the education, it was the infighting amongst the leaders. It was the fact that Rome was stretched too. The last thing was, it was the fact that the Roman legions were stretched too far thin outside the kingdom. They couldn't protect Rome, so they were spread all over the world, and in the interiors of Rome were weak. So now you understand, like, looking back in history, you were able to see the elemental things of failure of how Rome failed as a nation. We're damn near on the exact same course. Just if you look at how we operate as a nation. But Christ said this in Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. Read that one more time.
Matthew chapter 12 and 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation.
And that's why it said, every single kingdom that is not unified, that cannot come together, that cannot put their heads together, is brought to what?
Desolation.
It's going to be destroyed. This is when you cause these fractures amongst nations. And nations that were solid with solidarity, they were strong. They were impenetrable. But when you started seeing the breaking down of the nation, of the heads of state, or the direction that the nation is going, then you start seeing failure within the nation. Read on.
In every city or house divided against...
And he's going from a nation or a kingdom down to a city, down to a what?
House.
Down to a house. He's showing you that division plays a major role in the destruction of, no matter how large scale the unity is, down to a household. If the mother and father is not on the same page, that house is brought to what? Desolation. That house is not going to function without both parents being on the same page, and then the children being on the same page. It's critical. Unity is critical when you're establishing anything as large as a kingdom or a nation, or as small as a household or a family. Read on.
In every city or house divided against itself shall not stand.
It says a city, house, or kingdom. If there's any division involved, it's not going to stand. What you're watching David do, you're watching David give and distribute everybody a particular obligation. Everybody has an administration. Everybody has a role. Everybody has a job. Everybody has something to focus on. You don't have to look at what nobody else is doing within the kingdom. You got your own particular job to worry about. You have your music to worry about. You got your porter, you're a porter, you got your porter, you got the doors to worry about. You got to keep these gates secured. You got this treasure house you need to worry about. Don't worry about anybody else's job. Worry about your job.
Yep.
When you start looking at other people's roles, and you're not doing your job, or there's infighting, and there's no communication amongst the structure, then a breakdown starts. Read on.
And if Satan cast out Satan,
Christ said, if even Satan is divided, Satan's principal demons are divided. If Satan's demons are fighting each other, Read on.
He is divided against himself.
Go ahead.
How shall then his kingdom stand?
How even Satan can't be divided. Even his demons got to be in order. So it's showing you that unity is the preservation of anything that you're trying to build. You got to be unified. And when you look at even amongst Israelites, a lot of Israelites came out of one West, but through fracturing and through division, we want to bring in, certain things done. The Sabbath must be kept like this, or we want to bring in weed smoke, or we want to bring in whatever. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gotta wear fringes, or this
Hebrew,
camp.
no Hebrew.
Yeah, we don't have to deal with Hebrew. You watch all these different fracturing of ideals that kept us strong as a unit, and you wonder why some Israelites are at war with each other online. You got Israelites dissing Israelites. Camp banging.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You watching all this division, and you watching a fallout because you bring in these opinions. And this is why David is establishing what is the duties of everybody. To eliminate the opinions, to eliminate the ideals of what I want to do in this. This is what I want to do. No, listen, this is what you're going to do. This is where you come from. This is what you're going to do. I'm going to establish everything done decently and in order, because he understands that through division, nothing's going to stand. So that's why it's critical that he's given everybody their duties.
Yep.
All right? So we can let that go in Matthew chapter 12.
So where are we in Chronicles?
27.
Okay.
First Chronicles 27 and
We might as well do the vineyards.
vineyards.
Let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about the vineyards.
Sounds good. What script is that?
27.
27. All
Yeah,
right.
we're in 27.
First Chronicles 27 and 27. And over the vineyards was Shemi,
Vineyards.
the Ramathite. Over the increase of the vineyards for the wine cellars was Zabdi, the Shipphite.
We need to talk to Zabdi out. He's important. Read on.
And over the olive trees and the sycamore trees that were in the low plains was Bahalan, the Gederite. And over the cellars of oil was Joash.
So there was a guy over the actual picking of the actual olives. Then there was a person over the manufacturing of the oil. Just like there was a person over the actual vineyards, then there was a person over the wine cellars and the manufacturing of the wine. There's two different sets of responsibilities. Okay, read on.
And over the herds that fed in Sharon was Shatrai, the Sharonite. And over the herds that were in the valleys was Shaphat, the son of Abli. And over the camels also was Adil, the Ishmaelite. And over the asses was Jebdiah, the Meronothite.
Okay.
And over the flocks was Jaziz, the Hagarite. And all these were the rulers of the substance that was King David's.
So read on.
Also Jonathan, David's uncle, was a counselor, a wise man, and a scribe. And Jethiel, the son of Hakamonah, was with the king's sons. And Ahithophel was the king's counselor.
He was the king's counselor until Absalom came around, and Ahithophel went and aligned himself with Absalom. Don't forget, Ahithophel was Bathsheba's grandfather. Ahithophel was Bathsheba's grandfather. Okay, read on.
And Hushai, the Archite, was the king's companion.
And Hushai was the one that wanted to go out there with him when he was on the run. And David said, "No, you got to go out there and stay and be ears to me and let me know what's going on in the king's palace with Absalom."
Be intelligent.
Be counterintelligence. So both of these guys were counselors to him. Read on.
And after Ahithophel was Jehoiada, the son of Benaniah.
That's dope, because Jehoiada was the father of Benaniah, who eventually began to be the captain of the host for Solomon.
The son of Benaniah.
Huh?
The son of Benaniah, right?
Yes. Wait. Okay, I'm wrong. Read that again, verse 34.
And after Ahithophel was Joadiah, the son of Benaniah, and Abiathar, and the general of the king's army was Joab.
Wait. And after Ahithophel was Jehoiada. I could have swore Jehoiada was a father of Benaniah, because Benaniah's son was Or maybe that was a different Benaiah. Because Benaiah, give me one second. I gotta get an answer to this question. Because see, this is where I'm confused. Is in 1 Kings chapter 2 in verse 29, there's many of them there. It says, and it was told King Solomon that Joab was fled unto the tabernacle of the Lord, and behold, he is by the altar. Then Solomon sent Benaiah, son of Jehoiada. And over here, where you just read, it said the opposite. It said Jehoiada was the son of Benaiah. You know what I'm saying?
God.
Jehoiada was the father of Benaiah.
Right.
So his son was his namesake.
What I'm saying is, maybe it's a different Benaiah
Okay.
and a different Jehoiada, because I don't see any other way. Jehoiada was the father of Benaiah, not the son of Benaiah.
Okay.
You see the discrepancy? Maybe not, but I see it. It's in 29. It says Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada. Okay, and over here it's Jehoiada, the son of Benaiah. David wouldn't have Benaiah's son be his advisor.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Might just be
It could be a
slight error.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be that. I think Jehoiada was the father of Benaiah, because he would be a counselor to David more than Benaiah's son. How Benaiah's son would be a kid, being an advisor to David,
If you go in
unless it's a different Jehoiada and Benaiah. Yes,
If you go in the concordance,
Mhm.
1 Chronicles 27:34, it says Jehoiada is the father of Benaiah.
there you go. It just says there that he's the son, but yeah, he has to be. So that makes. I just wanted to make sure, because I got caught reading it. It kind of caught me up. So yeah, Jehoiada was the father. It just says the son on accident. Read on.
1 Chronicles 28. And David assembled all the princes of Israel, the princes of the tribes, and the captains of the companies that ministered to the king by course, and the captains over the thousands, and captains over the hundreds, and the stewards over all the substance and possession of the king, and of his sons, with the officers, and with the mighty men, and with all the valiant men, unto Jerusalem. Then David the king stood up upon his feet, and said, Hear me, my brethren, and my people. As for me, I had in mine heart to build an house of rest for the ark of the covenant of the Most High, and for the footstool of our Elohim, our power, and had made ready for the building.
You see why? Once again, it's taking a long time and it's stretching out. But you see why this has to be in front of 1 Kings chapter 2? There's a lot of information that's not explained in 1 Kings. It has to be explained now. Okay, read on.
But the Most High said unto me, Thou shalt not build an house for my name, because thou hast been a man of war, and hast shed blood.
This is the same thing we read in Antiquities of the Jews. Read on.
Howbeit the Most High power of Israel chose me before all the house of my father to be king over Israel forever. For he hath chosen Judah to be the ruler, and of the house of Judah, the house of my father, and among the sons of my father, he liked me to make me king over all Israel. And of all my sons, for the Most High hath given me many sons, he hath chosen Solomon my son to sit upon the throne of the kingdom of the Most High over Israel. And he said unto me, Solomon thy son, he shall build my house in my courts. For I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. Moreover, I will establish his kingdom forever, if he be constant to do my commandments and my judgments, as at this day. Now therefore, in the sight of all Israel, the congregation of the Most High, and in the audience of our power, keep and seek for all the commandments of your power, your God, that ye may possess this good land, and leave it for an inheritance for your children.
He's talking to Israel like Moses talked to Israel, damn near, Adam.
Yep.
He's an old man. We read earlier in the last chapter, He was in the 40th year of his reign. This was it. He only reigned 40 years. So he's giving him that farewell speech like Moses gave him a farewell speech. He said, "On the follow the Most High, stay in order, please the Heavenly Father, and you'll maintain your inheritance." Read on.
Latter half from the top.
Just give me the from the top.
From the top. Yeah. Now therefore, in the sight of all Israel, the congregation of the Most High, and in the audience of our power, keep and seek for all the commandments of your power, your God, that ye may possess this good land, and leave it for an inheritance for your children after you forever. And thou, Solomon, my son, know thou the God of thy father, and serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind. For the Most High searcheth all hearts, and understandeth all the imaginations of the thoughts.
He's sitting back here and checking out the thoughts and motivations of all men. Read on.
If thou seek him, he will be found of thee. But if thou forsake him, he will cast thee off forever. Take heed now, for the Most High hath chosen thee to build an house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do it. Then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch and of the houses thereof.
That was the word. It was the porch. The front part was referred to as the porch. So now he says David gave him the blueprint of the building. David gave Solomon the blueprint of how the temple was supposed to be set up. He gave Solomon the pattern of the porch. Read on.
And of the houses thereof.
And the little 3-story building around it that housed the priest. Read on.
And of the treasuries thereof.
And the area where the treasuries were supposed to be stored in the back of the temple. Read on.
And of the upper chambers thereof. And of the inner parlors thereof.
And the inner parlors, which was once you get the porch, then you get the holy place, then you get the Holy of Holies. He gave the breakdown of how he wanted all of the temple inside and outside to be set up.
Yeah.
Dimensions too. He gave the whole pattern. Okay? Inner parlors, the mercy seat. Read on.
And of the place of the mercy seat. And the pattern of all that he had by the Spirit. Of the courts of the house of the Most High. And of all the chambers round about. Of the treasuries of the house of the Most High. And of the treasuries of the dedicated things.
He broke down all of how things were supposed to be situated for him to set up and just execute. He thought about it all. So he wasn't just laying up just being sick and cold. He wasn't just shivering. I just can't stay warm. That happened. But he was thinking and he figured things out too. He was planning and meditating the whole thing.
He wasn't in a memory care facility.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He wasn't none of that. His mind was sharp.
His mind was sharp.
His body was broke down from all the wars. So that's where we're at. Read on.
Also for the courses of the priests and the Levites, and for all the work of the service of the house of the Most High.
And now this chapter is a recap of everything we read about the services and the rotations and the courses, the 8-day courses for the Levites, the 30-day courses for the army. Okay, the breakdowns for the singers, the groups of 12 for the singing groups. Read on.
And for all the vessels of service in the house of the Most High, he gave of gold by weight for things of gold.
He sat back and even numbered how many vessels are going to be inside. He broke down how many menorahs are going to be inside, how many laborers are going to be outside, how the altar is going to be set up. The whole nine. Read on.
For all instruments of all manner of service. Silver also for all instruments of silver by weight. For all instruments of every kind of service.
Money, finances, wood, supplies, structure, infrastructure. Everything was done except for the physical construction. Read on.
Even the weight for the candlesticks of gold.
Exactly.
And for the lamps of gold. By the weight for every candlestick. And for the lamps thereof.
Everything is inventory. Everything is numbered. Everything is measured. Read on.
And for the candlesticks of silver by weight, both for the candlestick and also for the lamps thereof, according to the use of every candlestick.
I was really working with David and putting this together.
He didn't squander the resources.
Nope. Nor his time.
No.
After it was war, he took his mind to the next responsibility. Read on.
And by weight he gave gold for the tables of shewbread, for every table, and likewise silver for the tables of silver. Also pure gold for the flesh hooks, and the bowls, and the cups, and for the golden basins he gave gold by weight for every basin.
So there had to be an area where all these animals were going to get disposed of and hooked on and prepped for the next sacrifice. Anyway, all these things were put together and thought about. Read on.
And likewise silver by weight for every basin of silver, and for the altar of incense refined gold by weight, and gold for the pattern of the chariot of the cherubims that spread out their wings and covered the ark of the covenant of the Most High.
Because what you're going to see is they put together some big cherubims that are on the east and the west, with the right and the left of the actual ark. That sat back here, and the wings covered the arks. Not these. They actually had two cherubims on each side, or one on each side of the actual ark. They were like cherubims that were built, all gold cherubims or angels on both sides of the actual ark. The ark was facing that way. Keep going.
All this, said David, the Most High made me understand in writing by his hand upon me, even all the works of this pattern.
He says, the Most High made me understand in writing by this hand upon me, even the works of this pattern. He said, the Most High gave me this pattern. The Most High told me how to put this together. He gave me the vision. Read on.
And David said to Solomon his son, be strong and of good courage, and do it. Fear not, nor be dismayed, for the Most High thy power, even my power, will be with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee, until thou hast finished all the work for the service of the house of the Most High.
And he said, be of good courage, because of the scale of this and how big this is. Could bring about fear.
Big project.
Exactly. Read on.
And behold, the courses of the priests and the Levites, even they shall be with thee for all the service of the house of the Most High. And there shall be with thee for all manner of workmanship every willing skillful man, for any manner of service. Also the princes and all the people will be holy at thy commandments.
He says you're going to have all of Israel at your disposal.
But
if I just talk to these princes, they're going to back you. What you going to say?
Like what he says, and there shall be with thee for all manner of workmanship every willing, skillful man.
God.
He keeps using that word willing, man, because not everybody's willing to dedicate to the temple.
God.
A lot of people have their own obligations. They have their own commitments.
Agendas.
They got their own agendas. They got their own desires.
Mm-hmm.
He said, but only dedicate those men that want to do this type of service.
God.
Put them in this position.
God. Who willing to put whatever projects they got in the back burner for the need of the temple.
Kind
But, I just wanted to mention in verse 19,
Mm-hmm.
you know how the Masons and the quote unquote Freemasons, they always glorify like Solomon,
Yeah.
like the master builder. Then it
Yeah.
shows
David
that
was the master builder, right?
Well, right, and the Most High gave him the instruction.
God.
So it was the Most High who was the master builder.
God. And he's the one who laid the entire instructions on how to put it together and how to do it.
Yep.
Then and Solomon obeyed and did what his father told him.
Right.
And just executed the. Listen, David did everything through the Spirit of the Most High. Golly, David was. Listen, let's keep going. Let's just keep going. Matter of fact, let's read the Josephus, paragraph 9.
Josephus, paragraph 9.
What book?
It's book 7, chapter 14,
paragraph 9.
Yes, sir.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Now when the king had said this, he left off, but gave the description and pattern of the building of the temple in the sight of them all to Solomon.
So he said, listen, he sat back and gave the pattern for everybody to hear. Why do you think he did that? To make sure Solomon wasn't going to deviate? Everybody knew how it was supposed to look. Everybody knew how it was supposed to be. So in case his son mucked it up, there'll be some people sitting back here reminding him this is how it's supposed to be.
I want a balcony.
Yeah. I want a terrace. I want a terrace that could rise up like this.
On a spiral staircase.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. God, he let everybody know how it was supposed to look. God.
And they can't get out of their responsibility.
Exactly. Let's keep going. That's funny, man.
9 from the top and just continue.
From the top. From the top.
Now when the king had said this, he left off, but gave the description and pattern of the building of the temple in the sight of them all to Solomon, of the foundations and of the chambers, inferior and superior, how many they were to be, and how large in height and in breadth. And also he determined the weight of the gold and the silver vessels. Moreover, he earnestly excited them with his words to use the utmost alacrity about the work. He exhorted the rulers also, and particularly the tribe of Levi, to assist him, both because of his youth and because the Most High had chosen him to take care of the building of the temple and of the government of the kingdom. He also declared to them that the work would be easy and not very laborious to them, because he had prepared for it many talents of gold and more of silver.
But it wasn't hard to actually physically build it because all the hard work was done. The heavy lifting was done. The structure was done. The money was built. Money was saved. Everything was ready to go. The wood was set up. Everything was done. This should be easy. Read on.
With timber and a great many carpenters and stone cutters and a large quantity of emeralds and all sorts of precious stones. And he said that even now he would give of the proper goods of his own dominion 200 talents.
He said, I'm going to give 200 talents of my own bread to put on top of this. Read on.
And 300 other talents of pure gold for the most holy place and for the chariot of the Most High, the cherubim, which are to be stand over and cover the ark.
He says, I'm sitting right here and put this extra gold to sit back here and stack to build this cherubim. Because this cherubim, what you're going to see is, I think I have it here. I gotta go through all the difference. Those are the cherubims.
H.
Yeah, H. They're huge. They're one on each side. Those are how an image of how it would possibly be. There's another one. I'm trying to find. Nope. I got some more under there, but those are those cherubims we're talking about. That he took money out of his own riches to sit back and stack next to the actual
Ark of the Covenant.
Ark of the Covenant. And Ark of the Covenant's right here, and the cherubims on the outside.
So what? He just stacked gold bricks beside it?
No. He just brought money out of his savings and reserves to sit back and help make the mold of it.
Oh, okay.
He's just saying,
he financed it.
If we're low on bread, then I'll put my gold in here and rubies and jewels to make that holy of holies even more fire. That's what he's saying. Read on.
Now when David had done speaking, there appeared great alacrity among the rulers and the priests and the Levites, who now contributed and made great and splendid promises for the future contributions.
But you know what? Listen, everybody wants to give once David pulled his money out.
Yeah.
When David pulled his money out, then everybody was going to put their money out.
Yeah.
And because that's how it normally is.
Yeah.
If the head drops the bread, I'll bring some bread. Y'all bring some. I got some gold. I can get some gold. I felt some gold on it. And that's how he worked it
But
out.
it just shows you also that some people need to be inspired to believe and give. And if they don't see you committed, they're not going to commit.
Well, you ain't putting your money. Put your money where your mouth is.
Let me see how serious you are about what you're talking.
You like temple. Okay, bro.
Yeah.
Lord's temple. Okay. When you pull your money up, then they'll sit back and be more willing to give.
That's got serious.
Huh?
Yeah.
Continue.
For they undertook to bring of gold 5,000 talents and 10,000 drams and of
drachmas. Drachmas. I don't know what that's. That might be some Greek terminology for money.
Greek coinage.
Yeah.
Yours says drachmas.
Mine says drachmas.
Okay.
What's yours say?
Drams or drams.
Mine has the drachmas. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They didn't have no drachmas. They had gold. This is Josephus explaining it. Yeah, exactly. So read on.
And of silver 10,000 talents, and many 10,000 talents of iron. And if anyone had a precious stone, he brought it, and bequeathed it to be put among the treasures, of which Jekiel, one of the posterity of Moses, had the care.
And it said that earlier how Moses' son or Moses' lineage looked over the treasure areas in the treasury, so to speak, of the temple. Okay, read on.
Upon this occasion, all the people rejoiced, as in particular did David, when he saw the zeal and forward ambition of the rulers and the priests and of all the rest. He began to bless the Most High with a loud voice, calling him the Father and Parent of the universe,
Phenomenal.
and the author of human and divine things, with which he had adorned Solomon, the patron and guardian of the Hebrew nation, and of its happiness, and of that kingdom which he hath given his son. Besides this, he prayed for happiness to all the people, and to Solomon his son, a sound and a righteous mind, and confirmed in all sorts of virtue. And then he commanded the multitude to bless the Most High.
He was confirmed in all sorts of virtue, meaning his works proved. He wasn't just some 18-year-old guy that just had some robes on. From his youth to his 18 years of age, or whatever years of age, he showed that he had virtue in him. But continue.
Upon which they all fell down upon the ground and worshipped him. They also gave thanks to David on account of all the blessings which they had received ever since he had taken the kingdom. On the next day he presented sacrifices to the Most High, 1,000 bullocks and as many lambs, which they offered for burnt offerings. They also offered peace offerings, and slew many 10,000 sacrifices. And the king feasted all day, together with all the people. And they anointed Solomon a second time with the oil, and appointed him to be king, and Zadok to be the high priest of the whole multitude. And when they had brought Solomon to the royal palace, and had set him upon his father's throne, they were obedient to him from that day.
And that's what kind of talks about in 1 Kings, in the 1 Kings chapter 1, how they sat back here and they anointed him and they put him on the throne for the second time and set him up to be the man, to be that king in perpetuity. So we got that. Let's finish at least 1 Chronicles chapter 29. Part of me wants to stop after we do 29 because we can do another chapter, but I think chapter 29 would be a good place to stop. The end of it, I should say. So let me get another reader. Naga. Send this home, bro.
Nagaha, Shah Shabbatah, Ban Shemayawan, Ban Yasha'Allah.
Nagaha, Shah Shabbatah, Ban Shemayawan, Ban Yasha'Allah. Hamajib, bro. Yahweh Hashem Yasha'Allah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Brakathum.
So we're going to do 1 Chronicles 29.
1 Chronicles chapter 29, verse 1. Furthermore, David the king said unto all the congregation, Solomon my son, whom alone the Most High hath chosen, is yet young and tender, and the work is great. For the palace is not for man, but for the Most High power.
And to be specific, the palace is for the Most High's name. The palace was not for the Most High. Most High made sure when he talked to David, he made that clear. It's for my name only. I don't dwell in houses made with hands. Right? So, let's continue.
Verse 2. Now I have prepared with all my might for the house of my power the gold for things to be made of gold.
He gave his whole life to sit back here and make sure they had enough bank and coin for everything to be. If whatever was supposed to be gold, it's supposed to be damn gold. Yeah. Let's not sit back here and mess with it. This is why the nations kept raiding the temple out. There was so much riches there.
Yeah.
It was gold, everything in there. It was luxurious inside that. Read on.
God. For the house of my power, the gold for things to be made of gold, and the silver for things of silver, and the brass for things of brass, the iron for things of iron, and wood for things of wood, onyx stones and stones to be set, glistering stones and of diverse colors, and all manner of precious stones and marble stones in abundance. Moreover, because I set my affection to the house of my power, I have of my own proper good of gold and silver, which I have given to the house of my power, over and above all that I have prepared for the holy house. Even 3,000 talents of gold, of the gold of Ophir.
He said he sat back here and took. He's saying he took the money out of his own pocket to sit back here and tack on top of what was already established in gold. Okay.
Verse 4. Even 3,000 talents of gold, of the gold of Ophir, and 7,000 talents of refined silver, to overlay the walls of the houses withal.
He said that gold, like it said in Josephus, that gold of his was supposed to go to the holiest of the holy, in that back place, for the cherubims, okay? And the outlining of the room, and like a brother had mentioned, that top part, okay? But let's keep going.
Okay. Verse 5. The gold for things of gold, and the silver for things of silver, and for all manner of work to be made by the hands of artificers, and who then is willing to consecrate his service this day unto the Most High. Then the chief of the fathers and princes of the tribes of Israel, and the captains of thousands and of hundreds, with the rulers of the king's work, offered willingly, and gave for the service of the house of the Most High of gold 5,000 talents and 10,000 drams.
So the chief of the fathers of the princes gave up this money now. They already had money from victories and wars. Now you have all the princes of each tribe sat back here and contributed after they saw David contribute 3,000 talents of gold of Ophir to be in the holiest of the holies. Okay? Read on.
And of silver 10,000 talents, and of brass 18,000 talents, and 100,000 talents of iron.
That was on top of everything David and them accumulated all these years. And Solomon accumulated, not Solomon, but Saul and Samuel. All these great things, all these items and spoils, this is what was given on top of that. Read on.
Right. Verse 8. And they with whom precious stones were found gave them to the treasure of the house of the Most High by the hand of Jehiel the Gershonite.
So Jehiel had to sit back and be over certain parts of the treasure house, and obviously Moses' grandson or family lineage was over some other parts too. Read on.
Verse 9. Then the people rejoiced for that they offered willingly, because with perfect heart they offered willingly to the Most High. And David the king also rejoiced with great joy.
Now here it says perfect heart. And the New Testament talks about having a pure conscience towards the Most High. Very rarely was Israel with a pure heart or pure conscience towards the Most High. And here was one of those times when we had that pure conscience towards the Heavenly Father. Read on.
Okay. Wherefore David blessed the Most High before all the congregation. And David said, Blessed be thou, Lord, power of Israel, our Father, forever and ever. Thine, O the Most High, is the greatness, and the power, and the glory, and the victory, and the majesty, for all that is in the heaven and in the earth is thine. Thine is the kingdom, O the Most High, and thou art exalted as head above all. Both riches and honor come of thee, and thou reignest over all, and in thine hand is power and might, and in thine hand it is to make great, and to give strength unto all. Now therefore our power, we thank thee, and praise thy glorious name. But who am I, and what is my people, that we should be able to offer so willingly after this sort? For all things come of thee, and of thine own have we given thee. For we are strangers before thee, and sojourners, as were all of our fathers, as were all our fathers. Our days on the earth are as a shadow, and there is none abiding. Our Lord, our power, all this store that we have prepared to build thee an house for thine holy name, cometh of thine hand, and is all thine own. I know also, my power, that thou triest the heart, and hast pleasure in uprightness. As for me, in the uprightness of mine heart, I have willingly offered all these things. And now have I seen with joy thy people, which are present here, to offer willingly unto thee. O Lord, power of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel our fathers. Keep this forever in the imagination of the thoughts of the heart of thy people, and prepare their heart unto thee. And give unto Solomon my son a perfect heart, to keep thy commandments, thy testimonies, and thy statutes, and to do all these things, and to build the palace, for the which I have made provision. And David said to all the congregation, Now bless the Lord your power. And all the congregation blessed the Most High power of their fathers, and bowed down their heads, and worshipped the Most High and the king. And they sacrificed sacrifices unto the Most High, and offered burnt offerings unto the Most High on the morrow after that day, even 1,000 bullocks, 1,000 rams, and 1,000 lambs, with their drink offerings, and sacrifices in abundance for all Israel.
You can also understand why Solomon had the mindset of sacrificing 1,000 bullocks, or 1,000 rams, or 1,000 calves. Because that's what he did, literally, a few chapters later, when he goes to Gibeon. He sits back here and offers that 1,000. That they were offering 1,000 some odd sheep or whatever before that time. So he already had a vision of what to do. He already had a vision of it.
It's a great transition. Great transition.
It was a transition, but he saw that 1,000 bullocks getting 1,000 rams, 1,000 lambs. And also, just so you know, he didn't go to Gibeon and kill him himself. You know that, right? He didn't kill those 1,000 himself. Gibeon was the location, was where the tabernacle was at. We'll go into that next week. Gibeon was where the tabernacle was. So he wasn't like he was slaying them and sacrificing. We're not supposed to do that anyway. That's the priest's job, was to sit back here and commit the sacrifice. That was only because if that was the case, Saul should have been okay to sacrifice the animal on the altar, right? That was the Levite. That was the high priest's job. So he brought it with the sincerest intention to the Most High, and the Most High honored it. But Gibeon was literally the new high priest spot. And as I'm going to explain next week, David had the ark in Jerusalem, but the tabernacle was in Gibeon. Everything was kind of discombobulated. And this is why David had to set this whole thing up, so that when construction was done, all the tabernacle items goes to Jerusalem, and the ark is already there. Makes a little more sense, okay? I hope at least it does. Let's read 22.
Verse 22. And did eat and drink before the Most High on that day with great gladness. And they made Solomon the son of David king the second time, and anointed him unto the Most High to be the chief governor, and Zadok to be priest.
So you're seeing how this thing was working out, okay? Really, to be perfect. No. This works out right. Next week we'll go over 1 Kings 2. But Zadok was anointed to be the high priest, and you're going to read about what happened to Abiathar next week. Okay, we'll read on.
Verse 23. Then Solomon sat on the throne of the Most High as king instead of David his father, and prospered, and all Israel obeyed him. And all the princes and the mighty men and all the sons likewise of King David submitted themselves unto Solomon the king. Mm-hmm. And the Most High magnified Solomon exceedingly in the sight of all Israel, and bestowed upon him such royal majesty as had not been on any king before him in Israel.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Read 25 again. That sounded good.
Right. Verse 25. And the Most High magnified Solomon exceedingly in the sight of all Israel, and bestowed upon him such royal majesty as had not been on any king before him in Israel. Verse 26. Thus David, the son of Jesse, reigned over all Israel. And the time that he reigned over Israel was 40 years. 7 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And he died in a good old age, full of days, riches, and honor. And Solomon his son reigned in his stead. Now the acts of David the king, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of Samuel the seer, and in the book of Nathan the prophet, and in the book of Gad the seer, with all his reign and his might, and the times that went over him, and over Israel, and over all the kingdoms of the country.
I want to finish one more thing in Josephus before we shut it down. Like I said, when we go next week into 1 Kings chapter 2, it's still going to be like 10 to 15 verses that deal with David being alive. But it's just kind of breaking down what David personally said to Solomon about the instructions he had to ensure there were no coups, to ensure there was nobody that was going to get in the way of all that positivity. Because all this now, the majority of the princes and the people were in support of Solomon, but there were a few that David had on his shit list.
Yeah.
And a few that need to get dealt with because of their rebellion, and that's what David's going to tell Solomon when we go on next week into the situation. But I want to kind of briefly go into Antiquities of the Jews, book 7, paragraph 15, chapter 15, paragraph 3. Chapter 15, paragraph 3, and it just kind of explains no, I want 2 and 3. Matter of fact, yeah, it's 2 and 3. My fault. This is a good way to cap off class. Paragraphs 2 and 3.
Page 210, book 7, chapter 15, paragraph 2 and 3, starting at line 389.
Because when we go into when we go read 1 Kings again next week, we're not going to take a whole bunch of time about finishing off David's story. We're going to finish off David's story now, and then next week we'll just focus on Solomon and everything he did. Okay, so let's read that.
Paragraph 2. When David had given these admonitions to his son about public affairs.
So once again, this is talking about really at 1 Kings chapter 2 about the admonitions and corrections of all these people that got to get dealt with. After he gives that list of who needs to get dealt with, this is what happens. Read on.
And about his friends and about those whom he knew to deserve punishment, he died.
Exactly.
Having lived 70 years and reigned 7 years and 6 months in Hebron over the tribe of Judah, and 33 in Jerusalem over all the country. This man was of an excellent character and was endowed with all the virtues that were desirable in a king. And
he had the whole package of what a king was supposed to be. Intelligence, love, a love for the Most High, fighter, passionate for his people. Read on.
And in one that had the preservation of so many tribes committed to him.
He said he was the first one to unite Israel. He was the first king to unite Israel. That's a victory in itself. Israel was not united until he came around. Read on.
For he was a man of valor in a very extraordinary degree, and went readily and first of all into dangers.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. He was the first to go into danger. Right? Read on.
When he was to fight for his subjects, as exciting the soldiers to action by his own labors.
He said he led from the front.
Wow.
He led from the front, and that motivated the men to be even more fervent and zealous to do the job. Read on.
By his own labors and fighting for them, and not by commanding them in a despotic way.
It's just to sit back here and command people and lay back. Read on. Yeah.
He was also of very great abilities and understanding and apprehension of present and future circumstances.
God.
When he was to manage any affairs.
What it means, he could sit back here and operate and how to plan things in the present, and he had foresight, and he had vision. Read on.
He was prudent and moderate, and kind to such as were under any calamities. He was righteous and humane, which are good qualities peculiarly fit for kings.
Because most kings aren't that way. Most kings aren't righteous and humane. Read on.
Nor was he guilty of any offense in the exercise of so great an authority, but in the business of the wife of Uriah.
So he was good with the, minus that stain with Uriah and Bathsheba. Read on.
He also left behind him greater wealth than any other king, either of the Hebrews or of other nations ever did.
So at the time, he was the most richest and most potent of all kings of his time. Of anybody in the world. Even Egypt, which is crazy. Exactly. What's that?
Rome.
Exactly. Well, not yet, because Rome wasn't even established yet.
Oh, I mean, like in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Paragraph 3. He was buried by his son Solomon in Jerusalem with great magnificence, and with all the other funeral pomp which kings use to be buried with. Moreover, he had great and immense wealth buried with him.
It's crazy. I don't know why. Because
The vastness of which may be easily conjectured, and by what I shall now say. For 1,300 years afterwards, Hyrcanus, the high priest, when he was besieged by Antiochus, that was called the Pious, the son of Demetrius, and was desirous of giving him money to get him to raise the siege and draw off his army, and having no other method of compassing the money, opened one room of David's sepulchre, and took out 3,000 talents, and gave part of that sum to Antiochus, and by this means caused the siege to be raised, as we have informed the reader elsewhere.
That's crazy. I'm not sure which Antiochus this is. Maybe it's the third. Maybe, I know it's not Epiphanes. This is probably the third, or maybe I don't know. Read Hyrcanus again, the Hyrcanus part.
Okay. For 1,300 years afterwards, Hyrcanus the high priest, when he was besieged by Antiochus, that was called the Pious, the son of Demetrius, and was desirous of giving him money to get him to raise the siege and draw off his army, and having no other method of compassing the money, opened one room of David's sepulchre, and took out 3,000 talents, and gave part of that sum to Antiochus, and by this means caused the siege to be raised, as we have informed the reader elsewhere. Nay, after him, and that many years, Herod the king opened another room.
There we go.
Listen.
That's the nature of Esau.
Listen, there was money there, man. What you gonna do?
Right.
That's what it's there for. Read on.
Herod the king opened another room.
How many rooms were there, man? And it was in Jerusalem. So they must have made some underground type of caverns out for David's tomb.
Deposits.
Yeah. There's some underground tombs with bread and with money in there.
Look at his father's.
There was money everywhere. There was money everywhere. Read on.
Herod the king opened another room and took away a great deal of money, and yet neither of them came at the coffins of the kings themselves.
Well, they never even got to the coffins. They just went around the surrounding rooms before you got to the coffin. It's crazy.
Also, it says somewhere in there how Herod was punished for trying to exhume and rob David's tomb also. It says it in the Josephus as well.
Later on.
It'll tell you that he tried to open the tomb, and the Most High had something happen to him.
Fire came out of the tomb.
Fire consumed him out of the tomb.
That's good.
So they went they shut it down.
They went to get some more money. He was going to get some more money after the first one. He gonna get more money.
Yeah. So you read about that later on. And,
that's crazy.
They had been trying to find David's tomb. You know that?
Even to this day, they've been trying to do
it. More than sure.
No different than when the siege of Jerusalem came. How Jeremiah was able to sit back here and take the ark and hide it.
Yeah.
Before the Babylonians came and took it over. And the Most High opened up some panels, and not some panels, but some
He hid it in a cave.
And nobody knows where it is.
Yeah,
it's still hidden.
He said that he took he took a tree branch and he brushed away his footprints so
Yep.
nobody could find the location.
Yep.
Yeah.
And shoot, and people been looking.
Yeah,
You know Esau been looking at it.
Yeah.
Can't find it. Let's keep going.
Because you know the Kibbutz Nagash, you got these Ethiopians that say that the Ark of the Covenant is in the bottom of that Lake
Lake Victoria?
Victoria. It's in the middle of Lake Victoria, but that's not what the scriptures say.
Nope.
The scriptures say Jeremiah hid it in the cave.
In the Josephus it says that.
Yeah. No, in the Apocrypha.
That's what I meant. I said Josephus. I meant the Apocrypha.
The Apocrypha says that. Yeah. But you know they got these beliefs that you know it's at the bottom of a lake. You know, it's underwater somewhere. But that's not what.
Everybody got to feel important now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody got to feel like what they doctrine and their country got something
We
over
have
to them.
it.
Yeah. They keep
We
it.
have God
They keep
in
it
this.
in the gas.
We had to go into that.
Yeah.
There was even a white guy that was his name Ron Wyatt, and he goes to these sites or whatnot, biblical sites over in the Middle East area. He even said that he found the Ark of the Covenant.
Nobody found the Ark of the Covenant.
Liars. Liars, liars,
Indiana
liars.
Jones said he found it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's
The movie,
hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
Indiana found it out. Indiana found
Harrison
it out.
Ford found it out.
Yeah, Harrison Ford found it out. He bought a bunch of treasure. Every movie he finds another treasure city out. He's constantly finding treasure cities everywhere. Him and Nick Cage. Nick Cage found treasure cities. National Treasure 1,
Yeah.
National Treasure 2.
Yeah, they love those movies. That's what they want to do. I'm great at that.
Exactly, it's stupid. When you got like 1% of the value of all those riches, and he had like this mansion in Europe or something like that, and
Yep.
Maseratis and stuff. It's dumb, man. But let's keep going. So you got Herod's trying to go take Rob's sepulchres. Read on.
Herod the king opened another room and took away a great deal of money, and yet neither of them came at the coffins of the kings themselves.
So there were multiple kings down there.
Okay.
There was multiple kings, obviously. Read on.
For their bodies were buried under the earth so artfully that they did not appear even to those that entered into their monuments. But so much shall suffice us to have said concerning these matters.
So they hid him in a way that you couldn't even tell that you were going into a sepulcher or a coffin.
For a reason, though.
Yeah.
They're still robbing Egypt. Every
Yeah.
other year they find another tomb.
Yeah. It's endless searching. It's endless searching. It's endless money grabbing. It's an endless process to get paid.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shut it down. I think that's enough for today. And we'll pick back up in 1 Kings chapter 2. And like I said, we're not gonna be doing 1 Chronicles chapter 1 after we get through it. It's no need. It's no need because it's just a recap of what we were reading in 1st and 2nd Samuel. Okay, but we are going to sit back here and bounce a lot from here on out, from 1 Kings to 2nd Chronicles. 1 Kings and 2nd Chronicles has a lot of bouncing back and forth. We will do a lot of that.
We're trying to stay on topic.
We're trying to stay on theme, so we're not rereading the same books over and over and over again. So hopefully, after we're finished with 1st, 2nd Kings, we would have also gone through Chronicles as well. So then from there, now we're dealing with Nehemiah and Ezra and all those type of chapters. All right? Okay. Israel, Amaju? Yahweh. In the name of Yahushua. Please listen to us right now. Send Michael. And the righteous angels. To watch over. Bless. Heal. Protect. And make strong. The people of Yasharala. Also send unto us. Much wisdom. Much knowledge. Much understanding. Much patience. Much faith. Much brotherhood. And much love. Spiritual power. And forgive all of our sins. Yahushua come quickly. For in thee. Is our hope. Always. Forever. Amen. Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Hahawa Nathan Lenoa. Hathawara.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the law.
Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Hahawa Nathan Lenoa. Award.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us light to see.
Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Hahawa Nathan Lenoa. Ha'ayah. Kwara. Ha'ayin.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the ram's horn to call the people.
Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Barak Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai.
Hahawa Nathan Lenoa. Shimon. Zayef. Lamashach. Yasharallah.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel.
Psalms 92. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord.
It is a good thing to give thanks to the Lord.
And to sing praise unto thy name.
And to sing praise unto thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
To show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
To show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
And thy faithfulness every night.
And thy faithfulness every night.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
And upon the psaltery.
Upon the psaltery.
Upon the harp.
Upon the harp.
With the solemn sound.
With the solemn sound.
Thou Yahweh. Hast made me glad through thy work.
Has made me glad through thy work.
I will triumph in the works of thy hands.
I will triumph in the works of thy hands.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
How great are thy works.
How great are thy works.
And thy thoughts are very deep.
And thy thoughts are very deep.
A brutish man knoweth not.
A brutish man knoweth not.
Neither doth the fool understand this.
Neither doth the fool understand this.
When the wicked spring is the grass.
When the wicked spring is the grass.
And when all the workers of iniquity do flourish.
And when all the workers of iniquity do flourish.
It is that they shall be destroyed forever.
It is that they shall be destroyed forever.
But thou Yahweh.
But thou Yahweh.
Art most high forevermore.
Art most high forevermore.
For lo thy enemies.
For lo thy enemies.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo thy enemies shall perish.
For lo thy enemies shall perish.
All the workers of iniquity shall be scattered.
All the workers of iniquity shall be scattered.
But my horn shalt thou exalt.
My horn shalt thou exalt.
Like the horn of a unicorn.
Like the horn of a unicorn.
I shall be anointed with fresh oil.
I shall be anointed with fresh oil.
Mine eye also shall see.
Mine eye also shall see.
My desire.
My desire.
On my enemies.
On my enemies.
And my ears shall hear.
And my ears shall hear.
My desire.
My desire.
Of the wicked.
Of the wicked.
That rise up against me.
That rise up against me.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree.
He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon.
He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon.
Those that be planted in the house of the Lord.
Those that be planted in the house of the Lord.
Shall flourish in the courts of our power.
Shall flourish in the courts of our power.
They shall still bring forth fruit in old age.
They shall still bring forth fruit in old age.
They shall be fat and flourishing.
They shall be fat and flourishing.
To show that the Lord is upright.
To show that the Lord is upright.
He is my rock.
He is my rock.
There is no unrighteousness in him.
And there is no unrighteousness in him.
By Shem Yahushai.
By Shem Yahushai.
Psalms 133. Shayar.
Shayar.
Hama'ayawa.
Hama'ayawa.
Ladawad.
Ladawad.
Hana.
Hana.
Ma. Tawab.
Wama.
Na'ayam. Shabbat. Akim. Gam. Yachad. Hashaman. Hatawab. Ayo. Hara'ash. Yaran. Ayo. Hazakwan. Zakwan. Aharan. Shayaran. Ayo. Hayah. Badawaf Yawan. Kator. Karamwan. Shayaran. Ayo. Haroria. Hazayawan. Kaya. Sham. Tazawah. Yahweh. Af. Habaraka. Kayayam. By Shem Yahushai.
Psalms 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head, that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life evermore. Amen.
Amen. Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Rakhnau, Ba'Shralim, support. Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Rakhnau, Ba'Shralim, support. Yahoo!
Yahoo!
Hashem!
Hashem!
Shai!
Shai! Right now!
That's right! Support! Yahoo! Hashem! Shai! That's right! Support! Birthday help! Birthday help shot! Birthday help! Birthday help shot! All knowledge! All wisdom! All understanding! All love! All patience! All mercy! All power! From your help! All power! From your help! All power! From your help! Hashem! Yahweh Shai! The water! From Yad! Ahmad!
Saluting out in the heavenly order, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, Wokesh Sha'ala, Men of Israel, Muslim, Ra, Yahweh Shai, Kum Yahshua, turn our faces, sisters. Saluting out the daughters of Zion, Men of Israel, Muslim, Ra, or Shalom, the what?
Yashmatap, dismissed. Fall out. Shalom Israel. Come on for tuning in. See y'all on Monday.